love spaceships and those do not. Welcome. For Monday, we're talking about spaceships. That's right. Oh, I got a shiny head today. All right, guys. All right, stop down. Ow, ow. Jesus. Nobody asked for this. Nobody. Welcome in, everybody. Non-chaotic intro. Still on the bucket list. Good to see you, though. It's nice to be back for a lovely, kind of lovely, but maybe not so lovely, sometimes kind of lovely Monday. We'll see how it's going. But we're all positivity out here, right? It's like, crazy in the world, so we're gonna try and not be too much today. We'll be kind of crazy. We'll be a little wild. Just enough, just the right amount to wake us up from a lovely Sunday. How was your guys' weekend? How'd everybody do? I had an eventful weekend. Not gonna lie, actually. Hold on. I gotta take a little bit of time here at the beginning of the stream to tell you guys about our weekend. We will be getting to spaceships. If you're here for the spaceships, I promise. We got some good news going on spaceship-wise. We're going to talk about the Nautilus today, obviously with the thumbnail. We're going to touch on every ship that's being worked on, looking at the monthly report from last week, and just kind of going through the details of what they're actually talking about there. I am going to hit up actually an interesting thread about variants and stuff, so we'll talk about that, which is something that we discussed like a month or two ago. We were talking about Mark II models and thingies. And that's mostly it. We got this weekend Star Citizen, which I won't spoil. But yeah, we got ship stuff to talk about today. That's really it. But I also had a very interesting weekend. It's a good old fun weekend. And we'll get to that. Maverick, hi. Good to see you, dude. Can always expect Maverick to be lighting up the chat with good vibes. Marcus Kincaid, welcome in. Fortune and Gory, nice. Wes, PK, welcome in. My friends, my folks, Vast and Yui, good to see ya. Space Marine, my dude, and YouTube. What were you guys up to? Baltzon's over here with the toes, my toes gang. Johnny, welcome in. Khalid, Shifty, and Matt Sully. Hope you guys had a lovely one. Double A's, Mad Rhetoric, Crew on the Net, Boar, Soul Surgeon. It's violent. Yeah, it's a good song. It's a good startup song. I love that song. Love seeing you guys dance in the chat. Wish I had more time to dance in the chat. Too busy running around trying to like be ready for the stream. All right, guys. So before we get into it, I'm gonna tell a little story. Back in the day, I played, I was on my high school football team, or my high school soccer team, for every year that I played, and then I also did some club soccer. In that time, made a lot of friends, a lot of connections, and this last Friday, I was invited back to play on in an alumni game where we all played against the current high school team. And I hadn't gone back to one of these since I graduated, which was 2011. So it had been 14 years since I went back and like saw the old coach. I saw some of the people that I had played with and the field I played on. It was pretty wild. But the biggest difference I learned very shortly after the game ended was that my body is probably the most different from that time, and particularly my fitness. And so I would say this is the first morning that I've been able to just kind of like normally get out of bed. I've really not been able to walk for the last couple of days. But man, was it a good time. This was like the first real wake-up call to me that I'm like, oh, wait, I need to like I was real fit back. I mean, I'm never going to be fit like that, obviously, again. But I was like, I gotta like pay attention to my body. I work out, and I think we do a fantastic job at it. We go on bike rides all the time. We're in the gym. It's all good. But I'm also like, I kind of want to get back to playing this regularly so I can still do that as I keep growing. And you know, who doesn't want to play soccer with their kids? Come on. Yeah, we're getting old now. Getting about to that time, dude. Actually, no, it's been a few years where you would sneeze and then have like a thrown out back or like a pulled muscle for the rest of the day. Oh, luckily it's not my, well, actually I discovered I'm getting old knees. That was several years ago. And I think I was always destined for that just from all the physical activity. Yeah, I get knee pains. Not as bad as some of my friends. It was actually really funny. So it was me and like 4 different friends who played back in the day. And like 3 of those 4 friends were wearing a knee brace. But in their defense, all of them like tore ACLs and stuff. So that's not an age thing. That's just you got messed up. Yeah, it was oh my gosh. It was like my thighs just got me, man. Not you at work right now making old man noises. Everybody's got an old man noise or two in them. It's okay. Hey, don't worry about it, space guy. That's future talk. You gave up on alumni basketball 5 years after you graduated because your body was already saying no. I have to keep going because we got people from like class of 98 still showing up. I can't just drop off like that, you know? Tyndallin, you're in the right place. Thank you very much. How old am I? Like 30 something. Hey, Bror Soul Surgeon, the violent name. Dropping 5 subs in the chat and getting us started off for the Toes Gang today. Appreciate you, my dude. I got you. You got a long name though. This is gonna take a little while. Bear with me, everybody. We're gonna get there. Bror Soul. Oh, that's an A. Man. Huh. You can tell I don't really do much handwriting anymore. Don't say sorry, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the stream and also getting some additional people, 5 more people in the chat, access to our exclusive videos. Baltzan with 10 memberships on YouTube. See, I know how to, I can spell your name quickly. Bald? Yep, still got it wrong. How did I still get that wrong, dude? Thank you so much. I appreciate you, dude. Much love and appreciation. It is, I was gonna say it's a new month, but it's not. It's like the 2nd week of the month. 3rd week of the month? Yeah, it's been a little while. Still feels like a new month to me. And it's getting hot here, guys. I don't know about you. Also want to give a shout out here to Othelius. Thank you for the sub today. Space Marine also resubbed up. 20 months. Holy lordy. And then Space Guy, you hit 9 months. Why was I not hearing? Where are my alerts? My alerts are not coming through loud enough for me. Hold on. I should be hearing that. There we go. Thank you guys all for the stream support. It means a lot. Miss Beastly asked you if you were coming into work today because this morning was especially rough on the pain scale. You told her, yeah, you're going in. Don't worry about the old man sounds. It's just pain. It's just the way of my life now. Yeah, by the way, if you did just get gifted a sub or a membership or, I don't know, a second kidney, well, first of all, congratulations to you if you're one of the latter. But second, you do have access to our exclusive videos. Make sure to join us on Discord. Check out the channel. Not only that, you're also getting access to our podcast early. You can come into the podcast live. We try to give you things, you know, stuff. It's a good community, good people. It's 78 degrees in New York right now. It's freaking raining outside here. Guys, it was like 90 degrees on Saturday and it's raining now. What is this? What are you doing, May? There's a new Star Citizen video out today. Was surprised. That's right. That's also what we're doing today. I was literally looking at Mrs. Tomato and I was like, man, you know, I've got good ship stuff to talk about, but there could be more. And then they dropped it behind the ships like 2 minutes later. So we're gonna definitely check this out about the MTC. That's actually probably what we'll start with after this week. Maverick, thank you for the bits, dude. 30 plus 39. Wonder what you were going for there. 80 and sunny in Nebraska. 80 in Iowa. Hell yeah, let's go, guys. Tell me your temperatures. Let me be the weather forecast for everybody today. Hold on, I think I may have a voice that works for this. Where is it? There it is. Thank you very much.
It's got a nice and sunny but mild 80 degrees. Dropping down out to Nebraska, where you might expect it to be a little bit cooler. We're bright and sunny, also 80. 90 degrees out in southwest Colorado. A little bit of snow up on those mountain peak tops, but the people down in the city really are just rolling smooth on dry ground. Out in Boston, it's down to 65 degrees, a little bit of cloud cover, so you got that cool temperature and nice breeze, but the people are doing okay, got their jackets on today. Wisconsin, it's rolled up a little bit higher to a 76, and it's looking nice and sunny out there. Real good for the Wisconsin folks. I know it's been cold this year. Northern Illinois, though, 80 degrees. Wait, is that Illinois? Sorry, folks, I don't know what IL is. Must be Illinois. Hey, Illinois out there at 80 degrees, a little bit higher than we would expect.
Thank you very much.
Newfoundland, overcast at 6 degrees, nice and mild, doing okay. 1 degree Celsius for Newsy, not sure where out, but that's cold. In Germany, 17 degrees Celsius. Sorry, folks, we're using some different units here. We lost our freedom, so just going with Celsius. Vegas, 82 degrees, pretty hot, pretty warm. Looking quite toasty. Vegas gets hot, though, but nothing really ever escapes there, does it?
Okay, too many temperatures. There's so many places in this chat. I'm glad everybody's got some nice... I mean, it doesn't look like anything's too extreme out there, so that's good. I hope nobody's in like a hurricane or something. How about we talk about ship stuff, though? So, it is a new week, which means we've got This Week in Star Citizen. Sometimes it actually does come out on time or timely. No offense to the people working on it. I know you've got a busy day, but sometimes we don't get to cover this. I'm glad we do this time. So let's jump straight in. Here's what's coming up this week in Star Citizen. Last week brought a wave of updates. We launched a fresh roadmap update, adding 15 new and revised cards to the release view, along with 5 new entries into the progress tracker, offering a preview of what's coming next. The April monthly report also dropped, packed with valuable insights. This is all last week. We've covered all of that. How about, let's go to this week in Star Citizen. That's what we're here for. Monday, we're going to be kicking things off with an Invictus launch week sneak peek as Behind the Ships dives into the next vehicle joining the verse at this year's big event. We will also publish an FAQ to answer your top questions. All 3 of these will be coming out separately on Space Tomato 2. We'll be going over that in a little bit. On Tuesday, we're dropping the full manufacturer schedule, so you can plan your test flights and get ready to hit the show floor when Invictus Week begins. We will try to have just general meeting opportunities for people during Invictus in GII, if you are a part of it, so the org can at least know when people will also be there. Not necessarily saying it'll be an event or anything, but it'll be a chance for folks to meet up. The other week in Star Citizen. The countdown is almost over. Invictus launch week kicks off on Thursday. Day 1 opens with Aegis and Graycat taking center stage. We'll have everything you need to make the most of this year's epic event, including free fly access, referral bonus, FAQs, vehicle Q&As, and plenty of comms to keep you in the know every step of the way. This is typically an incredibly good time for information regarding ships. Now, I'm just going to address this now because I know this is going to come up a lot throughout the stream, and everybody can kind of weigh in on answering this. I'm not going to talk about the Beijing Bar Citizen right now. I will be referencing a couple things that did happen because of that, but I'm not really interested in covering it until they release it. I want to make sure everything is actually, you know, straightforward that we're about to cover and put out. And we just got other things that we can talk about right now. But generally, Invictus Week is a source of at least one major Star Citizen live. And you can go back and find these. It's where I pull a lot of my own, like, I don't want to say proof, but like references. When I'm talking about details that are coming up, like flight models, engineering, I take, I think from this one, I take this about hover mode all the time. So generally, if you're into ships, I would definitely say pay attention to this. When they say this, they ain't joking. But also, play the game. It's a free fly. Referral bonus, get your referrals in, enjoy yourselves, just like rent ships, play things for free. That's like that's the point, you know? That's the best part of it. On Friday, be sure to check your inbox for the RSI weekly newsletter, where we'll recap the week's highlights, showcase standout community content, and give you a sneak peek at what's coming next. Day 2 of Invictus launch week continues with Aegis and Graycat. We'll also be publishing a Q&A Invictus ship talk with the vehicle director John Crew, where he answers some of the top questions from the Chinese community following our visit to Bar Citizen Beijing last week. That's where we'll be covering it. Then on Saturday, Invictus launch week, day 3, will shine the spotlight on RSI Origin and Argo. Be sure to check the official page for live updates and all the latest information. I'll be publishing my own coverage of this event, probably not every day or anything like that, but somewhat. And I will also actually be over on InfoRunners a couple days to talk about stuff going on. So drop by there too. Thank you everybody over on Twitch for the freaking the hype train. And it didn't tell me about PK and Brigadier dropping in 5 subs. Why? Why am I not hearing these? Brigadier. Is there an underscore there? There is. Is there always an underscore? Do you always have to have an underscore if you have 2 words in your name? Just a way of life. Thank you guys. I'm sorry that I missed that when the hype train was not still going. Shame on you, Twitch. Make better noises. Can't trust leaks 100%. Yeah, I mean, isn't it all? It's also translations, like back and forth. I'm trying to make sure that we're getting like oh my gosh, the actual straight content. Have you seen the new Behind the Ships? No, we're about to. Thank you very much. Dash also works. See, now I heard that. Bolton, did you hack this? Did you do that? Was that how did that happen? That's so weird, dude. Bolton both citing it today. Team Red and Team Black. Although I was supposed to alternate. No, whatever. Thank you, Toes Gang. Appreciate you. Zytec Gaming does epic CCU breakdowns daily during Invictus. The CCU. Oh, the CCUs. All right, continuing on. On Saturday, launch day 3. I already covered that. Also on Saturday, we're continuing the Bar Citizen tour with Con 42, an unmissable event in Mulheim, Maine, Germany. I didn't know if that was like a whole phrase. It's your chance to connect with fellow players and developers, enjoy a full state of panels, and participate in activities you won't want to miss. Invictus launch week then continues into day 4 on Sunday, featuring more from RSI Origin and Argo. So, this is just how it's going to be. Basically, they'll have different manufacturers throughout the week, and you'll be able to. I'm not sure. Like, we can rent all the ships. They said, oh no. So the show floor will have all the ships throughout the whole week, so you don't have to worry about that. But for renting the ships, I believe it's the specific manufacturer's days you can rent the ships. So you will want to come back, but you don't have to come back every day because the days, there are like 2-day gaps between ship changes. So yeah, this week really is dominated by preparation for Invictus Week. Next week will be dominated by Invictus Week. And then the week after that will likely be dominated by talk about more Invictus Week, to be honest. I don't know how much content they're really going to release during this, though. Usually we'd get an Inside Star Citizen and a Star Citizen Live, and potentially a couple ship trailers. This time I think it's mainly just going to be ship trailers and that one Star Citizen Live. But hopefully we get another. Either way, that's this week. And you said the FAQ for this is out for Is there anything interesting on the FAQ though? It's just an FAQ. If the cutter is already the ship I have with game package, do I hold back from this giveaway? No, you can always just add it to your collection, melt it for something else, give it to a friend. If you do want to give it to a friend though, you have to let us know before we give it to you. Yeah, they don't link the FAQ here. Where did it release to? Spectrum? I'm not seeing any sign of it. Yeah, it's in Spectrum. Okay. Oh, Shifty, I know what that is. No, I was saying on here, I didn't know what the aim was. I didn't know if this was like Mülheim Ann, or if this was like, I didn't understand what that was. I'm guessing this is like a district of a city, or a full city with 3 names. I don't know. I also don't really know how this is pronounced in other languages besides Turkish. All right. Invictus Launch Week FAQ. Why? What exactly is Invictus Launch Week? When is it taking place? What time does it start? When does the free fly start? The 15th. I think that's the first interesting info there. So Thursday, it starts with the event. Ends on the 27th. So you got a 12-day free fly that you can jump into. Where does the Invictus Launch Week take place? Where do I have to go? R-Corp. How do I get there? How do I get to the tour? Do I need a game package? Yeah, these are all pretty basic questions. What ships are available? There will be different ships for you to test fly each day. How do I rent a ship? Just walk up to the ship and press the F key. How long are they rented for? 48 hours. How many ships can be rented? All of them. Will there be quantity stock limited ships being sold? Each stock limited ship is limited to 1 per account and will be available in 3 waves to cover as many global time zones as possible. Please note that depending on your time zone, wave 2 and 3 may occur the next calendar day. Wave 1 will be 9 a.m. that time. Wave 2 will be 5 p.m. that time. Wave 3 will be 1 a.m. Oh, this is all Pacific, I'm sorry. UTC, it's 4 UTC, midnight UTC, and then 8 o'clock the next day UTC. So, for those of you who love those ships, let's see. Okay, so they've actually got them listed here. This is including the Aegis Idris P on May 15th, the Aegis Javelin on May 15th, the Connie Phoenix Stock Limited on May 17th, and both Kraken models on the 25th. I don't even know how they decide what is, what's going to be stock limited, because that's a weird ship, the Phoenix? Why? Just because it's fancy? You fancy, boy? You can't have too many of you out there. Means at the main, at the river. Okay. It's like city on the river. Beastly, you're unfamiliar with the melting of ships and stuff? Yeah, it's really easy. It's actually given how iffy sometimes it feels like CIG is with their funding and stuff, one of the things I do appreciate is that you can buy a ship and then 10 whole freaking years later, you can be like, you know what? I don't like this ship. I'm going to trade it in for a different, completely new one. And you can just do that. There's obviously a couple little things there that make it not the best taste in the mouth. You know, if like you have $5 difference, you still have to pay that $5 or something. But it's not quite a refund, but being able to at least exchange for store credit at any point in your account's lifetime is nice. I highly suggest doing that instead of buying new ships. Oh, Maine is the name of the river. Gotcha. It's always the Phoenix. For some reason, they think it's worth it to be limited. Interesting. That's kind of funny. Hello, Sean, San Francisco. All right, will there be a Drake Defense Con this year? No. Word on the street is that Drake Interplanetary has overstayed their welcome on ArcCorp, but true to form, Drake has found a way to let everyone test fly their ships on day 11 of Invictus launch week. You can rent them just like you would ships from any other manufacturer. Folks, that means no Ironclad. Say it together with me. No Ironclad. I know it's not really something to cheer. I'm just glad that we have like a pretty clear sign that it's not going to happen. I feel like, actually, this probably isn't even good enough for some people. Star Citizen community. See, pay cap, doing it right there, PK. Star Citizen community will be like, you'll slap and then stop your hand right here and be like, I was going to slap you. And they'll be like, oh, were you really? You gotta really nail it home with us. If they don't explicitly come out here and say no, the ship's not coming, then we're like, oh, but the shape of the couch in the last Star Citizen Live looked kind of like an Idris railgun. Maybe the P's coming out soon. Maybe because the Ironclad overstayed their welcome. Yeah. How funny would that be if they were like, oh, looks like there's actually an Ironclad up in orbit hosting the Defense Con. You guys can fly up there. That would be so cool if it actually worked. But I feel like if they planned that out, everyone would fly to the Ironclad, it would all glitch and explode, and we would get nothing out of it. You would love a sign from the Vulcan. The Vulcan would be so cool. But I wouldn't want to see the Vulcan unless we could actually use it. Now I'm doing it. Oh, I'm not blaming you. It's the community. It's us. It's all of us. It's part of us. Watch them shadow drop the Ironclad as a rentable ship. Why? It just shows up in everybody's account. It's not even rentable. It's just, you get an Ironclad. You get an Ironclad. Look under your seats. Alan, thank you so much for the $5, the super chat, man. Appreciate you on YouTube. But remember, they said they would be using assets from IC for the Kraken, and they started Kraken end of the year. Doesn't that mean IC close to done? Not necessarily. They might have gotten the Ironclad parts that they need up to White Box complete, up to Lot 0, up to Gray Box, and they're using that for the Kraken. Or they might be talking about Kraken interior. I doubt they'll be moving to the Kraken interior for a while. Usually if they started it, it's on the exterior. Toes. Your buddy has been on the Pioneer train for like 2 years. Bruh. A Pioneer train is one worth staying on. That ship's crazy. Some guy was on Reddit posting a silhouette of the cat, talking about, hey, what ship is this? It's not the cat. And all the comments were filled with, it's not a cat. It wasn't a cat. It was not. Thank you for the sub, Sneaky Bear. 7 months. Came here to watch Cosmic Vegetables. Was not disappointed. Sir, I am a fruit. Thank you. At least the end is in sight for the Pioneer. Yeah, I'm excited to go over the Pioneer today. I feel like we have 4 times this year, but we got to touch on all of the ships today. Like, I want to hit every single ship that is in any way being talked about by CIG at the moment. Potentially missing one or two. See the MTC vid today they dropped? Not yet. We're about to watch it. Speaking of, did we get to the end of this? Can I invite a friend to Invictus Week? Yes, you can. Bring your friends. I am a new player. Where do I get more info? The new player guide, they said. Fantastic stop with a plethora of tips on how to get started with that welcome hub. Presents various tutorials to get so like, can I go to the... I'm gonna be so salty about you can't find that ship components guide until they add it somewhere. Oh, Pioneer's not end of year. No. Don't get us wrong. Pioneer is a far ways away. All right. So like, I mean, it's an FAQ. It's just all the details about Invictus. Invictus Launch Week is an event held near the last week of May that marks the beginning of the new recruiting year and the graduation of the latest class of officers and pilots of the United Empire of Earth Navy. I fly Navy. Though a time to honor those in the Navy and other armed forces for their tireless service to the UEE, aerospace, and defense manufacturers across the galaxy, also take the opportunity to showcase their vehicles designed for and influenced by the military. This is also a time to celebrate the vast amount of citizens around the world who struggle through Star Citizen annually in order to keep this event going. It allows everyone to see some of Star Citizen's biggest, best, and most iconic ships up close as different manufacturers display their finest in the Expo Center's halls. Plus, almost everything on display is available to test for free. Ooh! I like Invictus just for the trailers, to be honest. I'm not huge on ships in this game. I like the features more, so I get more hyped in like the October time period. But I do always love the videos coming out of Invictus Week. They're pretty freaking cool. They give me goosebumps. Endeavor. If they're committed to holding ships until their game loops are in, then no Pioneer till crafting. Yeah. No, we won't see the Pioneer until base building is done. Oh, okay, not done. In the game. Asgard is a Valkyrie that had too much pudding. Pudding pops. Okay. We got a new vehicle. We have been following this vehicle for some time. Now, folks, I'm starting something new today because we're going to be touching on all the ship news here. I'm thinking we do this every single month. After every monthly report, we do the monthly report, and then we do a section that's just about ships. And I'm getting myself a little spreadsheet here. I'm not special on spreadsheets. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. This was pre-made by something, probably some machine learning thing. I don't know. So I'm going to start to actually put down stuff, and we can track these as we cover them on these videos and then see where they are and do all the fun stuff. And you guys can make bets, and we'll take money, and we'll start a casino out of this. And this will be a gambling stream from now on, and Twitch don't ban us. JK, we're just going to guess about spaceships, but it's going to be fun. Until then, though, there is a new Graycat vehicle being added to the game, and an Inside Star Citizen, Behind the Ships, came out today to cover it. It's a 3-minute trailer for the vehicle, basically. But let's see what makes it special, and if we're going to want to drive it, or just use it as an LTI token.
MTC is a military ground vehicle.
And it edges on the side of high-tech, but it's still that industrial vibe.
It's like a clenched fist, compact, solid, and battle-ready.
It's massive wide body, big tires, and huge bars at the front. Just means that if this thing is driving towards you, you want to get out of the way.
It actually does look very like mini Ursa. Just like by maybe a meter?
It allows you to bring more weapons to help people on the battlefield. You can never have too much firepower, and the MTC allows for that.
It's designed for easy maintenance, yet when you look at it, it looks really put together and refined.
How many
One thing
seats?
that was really important to us is making sure that you guys had access to things without entering the vehicle, so you can do a quick drive-by, pick up and go.
Oh.
So we put some personal storage on the outside, and we have a big cargo rack on the back. And the side door is a new design.
Okay, I like that. Does the cargo rack work?
And we have a big cargo rack on the back.
That's nice. 4 SCU of easy. Oh boy, this is going to be great for ground missions. See, this is like the CIG problem. They, oh right, yeah, those are 1/8 SCU boxes. So that's, what are they? Is it half an SCU? 1 SCU? Oh, they're quarter SCU boxes. Okay, so 1 SCU. It's really, there's a saying in Star Citizen. I like to say there's a saying, but I don't think many people say it. The later your ship is made, the better. This is clearly a better option for what the game is than the Ursa. And what I always wondered to myself is, are they going to be able to make the game curve back towards where the Ursa is as useful as this? Or are they going to need to change the Ursa to be more useful in the model they're building? Because they're changing the game quite a bit from the way it was kind of envisioned back in like 2017, 2018, when quite a few of the things that we're seeing competitors come out for now were made. So I'm like, okay, they are 1/8, so it's a half SU. Gotcha. So I'm like, what gives? This goes for quite a few different vehicles. I mean, this is something we'll talk about later with the Valkyrie and the Asgard. I know both of these will have different things that work for them, but the general design of this, I'm like, if the Ursa was made now, do you guys think it would have a cargo grid like this? Or do you think it would have exterior personal storage? And if so, do you think it's going to get that added to it? Or do you think it's going to continue to shun those and have something else that takes its place? Is kind of what I'm getting at. Because I would like if it's the latter, you know? I want them to keep the things that are good and bad for the old vehicles too, and just make sure that they keep those goods over stuff like this. Twould be cool. Make a medbed version, you'll pay cash for it. Medbeds and everything.
And the side door is a new design based on this kind of chassis of vehicle where it has a really low form factor. You'll see when it opens, the door slides along the rail, and that means that when it's fully deployed, it actually sits further back than the tire, allowing you to fit it in more ships.
Ah, that's a nice touch. See, that's another thing. Is that a planned? Okay, I know how to say it. Is that a
further back than the
Is this a by design pro over something like the Ursa, or will the Ursa get updated with that? Because there are things that new ships get. For instance, the Corsair, the ship we're looking at right now, has those landing lights that light up the area around the outside of the ship. And when that happens, you ask yourself, okay, so are other ships going to get lights like that? Or is this something that's particular to the Corsair as a benefit? You can ask yourself about that when it comes to the cutter's window visor thing. Is this going to be specific to the cutter, or are older ships going to get stuff like this? And it's always, that's what I'm asking myself. I don't know if it's one way or the other. Nobody really knows. I don't even think CIG fully knows. But it's interesting to see which direction they go in.
the tire, allowing you to fit it in more ships.
The MTC has two size 2 guns on the top. It can be controlled by the pilot, or secondary, it can be controlled by the remote turret seat in the rear. This allows that second player can come in controlling the turret, and then when needs to enter the battlefield, the pilot can then resume control of the turret for backup.
Okay, I like that you can use the turret from the very back. Yeah, man, this is this makes ground vehicles. They just need to find better ways to make us not use ships
for backup.
In first look, you see very simple design, but telling a story. It has 3 weapon rack, One of them is between two suit lockers for a heavy weapon, others for regular weapons.
Can I use the suit locker though? Hey, you guys remember when they teased us with suit lockers last year?
There is 4 component bay and 2 suit locker.
In the design of the cockpit, I try to make a balance between something cool and fancy and something strong and aggressive. I think
See, there's more of it. It's not just the cutter. I think there's a couple ships with something like that.
we did it.
The MTC matches similar speeds of, say, the Ursa. But its improved handling characteristics is going to allow it to traverse, say, Daymar a lot better than the rest of the field.
Still gonna have to get rid of rocks,
Slightly
guys.
shorter than the Ursa, and it's also a lot more tanky with it being
Decreased
a
rocks.
military-style vehicle. On the inside, you can carry a lot more weapons. It doesn't carry as many people as the Ursa, but like...
Okay, wait. I'm trying to get a fix. So there's 2 chairs, yeah?
Inside, you can carry a lot more.
It's one up here and then this one. That's not a chair, that's component stuff. Dude, this interior looks so good. The contrast between this and the older ground vehicles is wild.
Weapons. It doesn't carry as many people as the Ursa, but like always, trade-offs.
Doesn't carry as many or as
As
much?
the Ursa. On the inside, you can carry a lot more weapons. It doesn't carry as many people as the Ursa.
As many people. So, I mean, you always have that over this vehicle, of course. But when it comes to the quality of life things, I do wonder. And like you said, Noisemaze, they do kind of got to be wary of what they add to the old models. They still need to have their own unique things, but the manpower it takes for that. I really do hope that that's why they're building up their vehicle team. For the updates and stuff that they're going to need to do to maintain these vehicles. We can hope.
But like always, trade-offs.
This vehicle's for people who want to be the hero. Everything's going wrong, they're on a ground mission, and your ground troops need support. Over the horizon, they see this thing just come flying in, huge headlights, light.
I don't know, man. I don't know if this is what if I was like, hey man, I need a hero in Star Citizen. I hope you're showing up in a spaceship. Not gonna
Up the
lie.
entire field of battle, and you're running towards it, and your enemies are running away from it.
It's a cool vehicle. I think it's much better than. I think this is better than almost any of the other ground vehicles. And they know that we're probably going to think that because, like, if you want a 2-person vehicle that's got, it's kind of like maneuverable and nifty and quick. I guess you have the STV, you have the Dragonfly, you have. I think those 2 are really it. And neither of those have good storage or good defense mechanisms. So this is, and if you want to get good storage or defense mechanisms, what do you bump all the way up to a Ursa? Or I guess you can get a Cyclone, but even the Cyclone's lacking in storage. So I think this is a really good ground vehicle. I'm surprised it actually took this long for something like this to come along. But I think this is what they wanted to do with the Ursa. And then they realized the Ursa is just like too big and unwieldy and not useful because it doesn't matter how many seats you have. People just throw bodies in a vehicle anyways right now. So good addition. But it makes me wonder. It makes me think, where the heck is the G12? Because it's like basically the same vehicle. And it's a concept, and we've had it for years, and there is no reason not to have the G12, if I'm not mistaken. Why don't we take a look at that? It's like, guys, people would have bought plenty of the G12. Not like this isn't a good-looking vehicle. Where the heck? This thing would have sold, man. It carries more storage. It looks way better. Yeah, it's bigger, but like, I do think they would have sold more of this than they would have of the new thing that they're showing. And it would have sold for more because it's got 2 SCU of storage back here. I don't know, man. I think this would have been a really good opportunity to bring us a vehicle that you guys have been selling since 2020. Yeah, since 2020, it's been in concept, and it doesn't have any gameplay that holds it back. This part of it is annoying to me. I'd love to see this thing, dude. This is such an, oh God. Honestly, I don't think it looks that amazing, but I definitely like it a lot more than the other ground vehicles. I like the sleekness of it. It gives me strong Mass Effect vibes. Anything that does that is whatever, fine. Of course. Space Tomatoes Lost. Does it say Supra? It's got Supra tires on it. Don't know why they release these brand new ships and leave oldest concepts out of dev completely. For most of them, it's because their gameplay would just end up changing the ship again. But for something like this, the Legionnaire, yeah, I don't know. Old vehicles have been abandoned. Technically, CIG has been remaking a whole new game for the past 4 years. I don't think old ships have been abandoned. I think they have too many of those old ships to abandon them. And, you know, like legal stuff. $600 rework, right. Hope we can make roads when base building gets added. Roads would be cool. Whoa. Banu Merchantman? Yeah, the Banu Merchantman's not going to release until we have player shops. If they release the Banu Merchantman before we have player shops, then when player shops come out, they'll have to just redo the Banu Merchantman so it works with player shops. They'll waste double the time. This one, though, ain't no reason for this. Give us the G12. Do it. Do it. Or at least tell us why it's not here. I think that would be a great question for an Invictus Q&A. But I guess China gets the Invictus Q&A questions now. Is that how this is gonna work? Is that a thing? Are we gonna have more regular shows where they're just like, well, we're not doing the show in this language, so it just won't release on the main channel anymore? Because I don't know about that, guys. What about the Crucible? I mean, there's a lot of things the Crucible's missing. Actually, there's only a couple things, maybe. But definitely repairs needed for that. The raft wasn't abandoned? No. I mean, there are, like, plenty of ships that are going to be getting updated over the course of time. And as new features come on, those old ships still get the new features. Tractor beams got put on old ships. They get they're getting their components updated. The Freelancer got its update for components recently. They just take forever to get around to things. Like, I won't disagree with that. Oh no, I saw this week in Star Citizen. I know they're releasing it now. I'm saying we didn't. They hosted a Q&A.
Thank you for coming in. This is your captain speaking. Tomato will be
Oh shoot, Super Mac brother, my man SMB, aka Ryan. How you doing? How's everybody doing? Welcome in, guys. What's up? We're talking some Star Citizen stuff right now. We're going through basically all the ship news currently ongoing in Star Citizen. Right now, I'm lamenting about the G12 and how much I want it. I don't actually want it that much, but we're talking about this guy, the Graycat, and why maybe we didn't see the G12. If you don't know who I am, I'm a tomato. I talk a lot of space game stuff, mainly Star Citizen, and sometimes we actually get things done here. We like play the game. I don't go off grid. I'm not that impressive yet. Still trying to learn how to remember my helmet, but you know, sometimes it's pretty entertaining. We host giveaways. We're currently doing a Drake Cutter giveaway. And we talk a lot about Star Citizen. So if you're into that, consider chilling, hanging out, sticking around. It's not so much that they didn't post it at the same time. It's that like the Q&As for these are still fairly important. And like I said, the previous shows had some really good, like this wasn't a live Q&A, but it was still a Q&A where like the players, we got to ask questions. My thought process behind that isn't necessarily that they can't publish to China first or something. It's more so that if they're going to host a Q&A in China, are they also taking questions from the rest of the world? Or are they saying, hey, this Invictus week, we're only going to take questions from one country or one language? Was there a Spectrum post for it? I don't really know how that worked. G12 concept ILW 5 years ago and did nothing. Today they introduced a straight to drivable MTC. Yes. They could add a repair arm to the Crucible that works like our multi-tools for hull damage. Right, but then when the real repair gameplay comes out, then they'd have to remove that repair arm and figure out what they need to put in to make the Crucible work. Thank you, Joshua Michael. I think the G12 lost out due to the thought they could get more cash for a new vehicle. I think they are wrong, but that's my guess. Reasonable guess. It probably will get them more money. And it's something that they got to design for the current game, although they could have redesigned the G12 if they needed to. 2SC human. Pub thinks Knicks by end of year. We will see. Pub's joining me for the podcast this week. Again, anybody who, like my friend Sentry here, who just subbed to the channel, you actually have access to the podcast live as it happens. You can come in and ask questions and stuff. You also get early access to it on Fridays. So make sure to join us this week. I'll be having Astropub on, and we will be talking about the whole Beijing Bar Citizen news. And I'll have to ask him about his Knicks predictions. So we've talked about that too. Right? It's not like he's not on the podcast every other month. Music's a bit high. Thank you for the heads up. What's an LTI token? Basically, it's just a ship that comes with lifetime insurance that you don't actually care about keeping. So you're going to trade it in for something else. All right, the other thing I wanted to touch on here was last week, I think it was. It's either last week or the week before. Was the music good? I have it right here. The music, the volume changes, so it's hard to judge. I'm going to put it at negative 30 decibels. Last week we covered that the server meshing, a couple developers had left the server meshing team on CIG, and one of the comments on the video was from Ivan, one of the devs we covered. I thought we might as well go back and cover this real quick for anybody who was here for that stream and wants to see the follow-up. But he said, "Hey folks, Ivan here. Thanks for the kind words, but I wanted to clarify a little to avoid any speculation. Both Jordan and I absolutely loved our time at CIG and are immensely proud of our work there. In our case, at least, can't speak for anyone else mentioned in the video, the decision to leave was driven by factors unrelated to our work. We've both moved to CCP, yes, as it aligned with our desire to move out of the UK, but we no longer work together here, and we're not working on anything like server meshing. Rather, we're working on separate, super exciting projects. Seriously, check out Eve Frontier. It's super cool. My old team at CIG are making tremendous progress at dynamic meshing, and I'll be cheering them on from the sidelines now as a fan." So, I was wrong about the idea that maybe they were recruited for their server meshing expertise. They were recruited because they were good developers, and they are moving to the company because they wanted to get out of the UK, not because they offered them more money, at least as far as he's saying. He can't speak for anybody else in the video, obviously, but I hope that adds some clarity to folks who are wondering why exactly they might have moved on. Should do more chats with Ferrister. Oh, trust me and Ferrister, we love to chat, but it's scheduling. Scheduling is a rough thing. You hear the Galaxy is going to get started right after the Perseus is released? It should be. That's the expectations they set back in the old SitCon 2023, but they may have, things can always change. Hey, what's up, George? Welcome in. Okay, so that's a little touch on that stuff. Now, let us, my friends, talk about the Nautilus. This is a funny ship. This is a funny ship to me because for those of you who are around for the release of this thing, well, we'll get to that. Or not the release, I'm sorry. The announcement of this ship was quite controversial. In fact, I got to see if I can find that announcement. But first, why we're talking about this, John Crew commented on a thread posted on Reddit. Now, this thread comes because of news that was shared from the bar citizen that took place in China. Now, we don't have the official feed of that, so we don't have the official words, which is why this happened. It was a misunderstanding in translation, and he's clarifying here. That's the comment we're about to read, but this is why I haven't covered it yet on the channel. I just want to wait until the official one is released. Just like every other Invictus week, I guess. This happens every Invictus week. We literally have one of these pulled up right here. You can see it's not live. It's the Invictus Week Q&A. It was released May 27th. This is how they always do it. It's just that this week they did it live for China first. For reasons I'm sure you can put together yourself. Now, what he said here was, I think that my comments have been translated incorrectly. What I said was that the Nautilus requires gameplay and features, and as we're focusing on quality of life currently, that means it is not in production at this time. When it goes into production, like the other ships, it will have an updated concept pass to bring it in line with the current standards. Hope that clears things up. I bet that's going to be a very interesting concept pass, because it's... Sorry, I just got distracted by chat. Because yeah, I bet like the idea of a mine layer, we're going to get into this, but this is a mine laying ship. And the idea of that in this game probably sounds pretty weird to a lot of people. So we'll talk a little bit about why that is a possibility. I've got the ISC here where they introduce it. I also have the full brochure that they had when they released it at the event where it was released, which we will talk about here in a moment. And a lot of the info that came from that release, this is a very, yeah, there was a lot of information there. So we'll get around to all that. But first, I want to see if I can find the event. Let me think. How can I find that? All right, let's see. See, now all the Nautilus information is current. Oh, I have to mention Star Citizen here, huh? Here it is. Found it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's some articles on it. All right, what are you saying? What are you saying here? We still have no concrete time on the 411 patch. That is correct. It'll probably be on Wednesday or Thursday. Each stock limited ship is limited to 1 per account and will be available in 3 waves to cover as many global time zones as possible. I don't think that's new. Has it always been limited to 1 per account? I guess that's to stop reselling. Good if they are, I guess. That's solid. Wonder why a ship that could grief like nothing we have seen before could be seen as controversial. With mines? I mean, is it griefing if you're leaving, if it's a mine? Like, isn't that just laying mines? I think probably they need to make sure that mines can't be laid around space stations, but that's like, you know, you can't do that in real life either. If you lay a mine and a security ship comes across it, they track it back to you, you get in trouble. I think it's pretty easy to counteract that, but... So the biggest thing, well, we'll get into this here. First, I want to talk about the event where this was announced. This was very funny. Not gonna lie. This was rough. And these are the kinds of things CIG used to do a lot worse than they do now. Like, if you see how CIG kind of has their little blusters now, trust me, they used to be so much more painful. Basically, they revealed this ship at... Dude, I wish I could just get like the actual freaking source for this stuff. They revealed the ship at an event that was only able to be gone to for $275. Now, it was an event that had a lot of stuff there. You could obviously meet a lot of people. You got a full dinner. It was a nice dinner too. Like, you got treated. It wasn't so much that people weren't getting what they paid for. It was more so that they just like revealed the ship there and everybody else had to get the information through posts like this or through actual photos of the brochure like this. Like this isn't the files of the brochure. These are the photos somebody uploaded to the internet. So that was just another example of CIG doing things. But yeah, we'll go over the info and see how this could actually fit in with some mining gameplay. At least the mini game was really fun. It was a good game they released with it. Just not the game we wanted. Star Citizen. So, information-wise, let's see if there's anything about how these mines would work. So, the ship can hold 24 mines, deploying a minefield of 24 mines with a DPS each of a size 5 torpedo. It does not tell us about how the mines work. Let's see. So this is mostly about the ship itself, actually. It's got a size 7 gun, at least when they first concepted it, sorry. Couple computers, large shields, 3 times size 3 shields, 2 times size 3 power plants, 64 space of cargo. Mines will not work near planets and moons due to gravity pulling them down. Mines slow down by themselves if released while moving. Mines have signatures like ships. So one of the things that's, I think, important to know with this ship is that the mines aren't just explosives. They're turrets. Where the heck is it? Aegis Nautilus. There we go. These are also turrets. So like, you can lay these mines and it's an area of effect kind of thing. If you put, I mean, if you have an asteroid facility and you know that people are going to come attack it, you don't have to just depend on the turrets that are on the asteroid facility. You could drop 10 of these outside. Yeah, so the mines are also self-propelled. I was looking for that info. I thought it was official. No. The Tephra homing mine is a mine that once within range will move towards the target and detonate. So again, another area of effect. Basically the size 5 torpedo establishes a defensive perimeter and just goes to the ship that it can see. The sentry mine is a mine fitted with weapons that will fire on hostile targets within range. The Nemo drone is a drone specifically designed for the task of identifying, deactivating, and collecting deployed mines. So the gameplay consists of both deploying these mines, but also using your ship to pick them back up, to disable them, to repurpose them, to steal them from somebody else. Obviously, there's other things you could probably have EMP mines if they wanted to. Be interesting if you could deploy mines that offer some kind of a buff in some way. Maybe mines that have like a protected storage crate. It only opens for the people who it knows are safe. Otherwise, it has a turret on it that shoots people. So you could leave like dead drops and drug drops in space without worrying. Let's take a look, though, at the actual video where they introduce it and what they have to say about it.
Earlier this week, the Star Citizen community was introduced to the Aegis Nautilus strategic mine layer, the first of its kind ship dedicated to the art of defensive, yet very explosive warfare. What's the player experience going to be like? What do minefields add to the overall Star Citizen experience? Why does it look the way that it does? We posed these questions and more to John and Paul ahead of its recent reveal. Let's find out what they had to say.
The Nautilus brings exciting gameplay to the Star Citizen universe because it's something very traditional for Chris Roberts style games. I think it just adds a lot of extra depth. Our combat gameplay is very offensive based at the moment, so it's a lot of players going out there, hunting down other players, killing other players, and taking their stuff. Whereas there isn't a huge amount for the players that want to involve themselves in combat, but not actually be that sort of either twitch shooter or strategic bomber. They just want to play the longer game, and this is the Nautilus is the perfect ship for that. So one of the key aspects for mine layers and minesweepers is maintaining their minefields. Minefields offer a great way to add defensive gameplay to Star Citizen. They allow players, whether they're in an org or solo players, to ring fence or protect a sort of strategic asset, whether that's a space station or even just entry methods to certain areas.
We get the design brief from John Crew and his team, and that gives us our basic spec of what we need to hit. Chris likes to keep it as open as possible in terms of implementers for art. So we can just be free, basically.
So this is a nice shot because sometimes they'll show this kind of footage and it seems like maybe it's white or gray box or well into the art process of these ships, but really we're just seeing more of their in-depth concept work that they didn't do until around this time in development. That's why a lot of the older ships feel a lot more clunky, because either A, they were made without planning for some of the other future features, and so they had to be redesigned mid-life, like after they were already released to the game, and so they look a little bit different. Other ones just straight up are just not built clearly to fit in with the game. The MSR, I think, is a pretty clear example of that. So this is them, you can see here, like, this allows them to go faster because they concept the ship with the understanding of everything that's going to be in it, rather than before when they would just have a concept artist make the ship in just like a JPEG, and then it'd be like, okay, we'll make the ship based on that, which then you start making the ship and you realize things have to change.
Out of the three, the one that Chris chose and the one that was our favorite, it's got that sort of armored feeling about it, but then it hits all the beats that we need it to hit. It's got the big S7 gun on it. It's got the silhouette change when all the mine launchers pop out. As a ship, from all angles, it looks really good. The other stuff was interesting, but this one was a clear favourite. You know, when people see it, it's a relatively simple shape. You know, it's essentially a triangle. Very Aegis. You know, it's kind of it's like a tech sandwich. You know, you've got the top and the bottom, which are simpler, and then you've got a slice of just heavy tech in the middle.
Aside from the mine laying side of the gameplay, there's the people on the other end of mines. It ties into the whole scanning and exploration side. So these mines are quite hard to detect. So obviously you wouldn't want them to be huge gleaming red beacons of light that you know are there.
Also interesting is what will be the difference? Like, they'll have to figure out ways to put these in scenarios. So I'm thinking there will be old military mines that are blocking off like interesting areas where we can find derelicts and loot, maybe like interesting mineral deposits. Maybe there's like, oh, this pirate faction put a minefield out there, so the minerals, you can't get to them. And like, what would be the difference between taking a Nautilus out there and disarming them versus just shooting them and blowing them up? Would it really be how? I guess they got to make them really expensive because it'd be great loot. I think there's a lot they could do with this. I'm not really sure about PvP wise, which I think is what everybody is thinking when they see this. They're like, oh, this is going to be really, nobody's going to use this for PvP. It's not worth the time. But I do think that PvE applications are going to be really interesting for this ship. I imagine a lot of people don't think it's worth the money in that case. I would say this isn't worth the money for any case. So maybe don't buy it. But I think there could be some really interesting scenarios and missions they make for this that aren't necessarily sandbox focused or aren't necessarily player interaction focused, but who knows what they'll do with it.
Side, so these mines are quite hard to detect. So obviously you wouldn't want them to be huge gleaming red beacons of light that you know are there. They sort of embed themselves into the world quite nicely, and ships that are designed for hunting things down, such as scanners, great, they can find them. If you want to go through a minefield, then the Nautilus itself can do some mine sweeping with its drones, but then other ships equipped with EMP or distortion weapons can temporarily disable them, which helps give other combat ships a way through these areas. And then there's the whole supply chain side. So whilst the Nautilus is best placed to bring more mines and recover those mines, other ships will be able to sort of assist in that functionality as well.
So you could really just, I mean, this could also be really useful for gaining stuff. That's really expensive loot. I imagine mines would sell for a ton of money, depending on where you find them and who you sell them to. But yeah, good point in chat. This could be great for org defenses. Just all around good deterrence. But I'm skeptical, and I think everybody has it. Like, nobody is. I wouldn't blame anybody for being skeptical as to whether or not this ship really works, how it's being phrased as working, how it's being sold. There's a lot they still have to prove in terms of large-scale combat in this game. We really don't have large-scale combat still. We have large groups of people in combat, but you don't have engineering. You don't have like a lot of shield maintenance. It's just starting to come around. We're not reloading our ships. We're not using our carriers for certain things, or our missile bombers aren't getting escorted by fighters. Like, there's so far we have to go before I think using large-scale minefields in fleet battles is going to be a regular thing. Org defenses, like where that org blocked the Pyro Gateway with 10 ships due to a viral outbreak, that's griefing. But that's not going to happen with the game. They can't do that if there's security. And I agree they shouldn't be able to do that now, but that's by design. It is how it works. As long as they're getting their crime stat, it should get taken care of. We also need player bounties back. Luckily, we're getting them. What is working as intended? I've been having a good time with mining. Plenty of glitches around, but it's at least something I can complete. Could we see the reveal video for the G12? It was before I started playing. There's no video for the G12. It was just released as a concept. Really need a way to learn to be able to rearm, repair, and refuel a ship. Seriously, we do. Agreed. This game needs controllable outposts or territory to actually incentivize this kind of gameplay. Yeah, I think they've shown they're quite obsessed with that idea. Nobody's gonna go near those mines to defuse them. You defuse them with drones. You can see them in one of the pictures here. Or actually, they showed it in here. You use these drones to defuse the mines. And you see one of them's supposedly taking it back there. That's pretty much it, though. So that's the Nautilus. The weird story of it, how it released, what's going on with it right now, what it's useful for, what it's not, and our speculation as to whether or not it'll actually meet those things. Who knows? Who knows what happens with this when it releases? But as always, Star Citizen is like very, 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 very far away from what we're playing right now. And our expectations and the way the game plays potentially could just look entirely different by the time the Nautilus comes out. Nobody really cares that much about dying right now. You can't, there's no engineering once again. You can't even repair your freaking ship outside in the vacuum. So I think it's hard to say whether or not this is going to be a reliably useful ship by the time Star Citizen reaches 1.0. But it's not like it's just Destiny and whatever happens, happens. CIG is actively developing the game. It's their job to take this concept and figuring out how to make it fit into the game. So we'll see what happens with it, but I don't think we'll hear anything at the very least until drones are in the game. Because his comment here is what, that yeah, it's gonna take gameplay and features. Like mines obviously aren't that hard if they're explosive, but the logic behind them, and then also the drones, I think is gonna make this thing take a little bit while longer. Anyways, thanks for checking this out. Hope you got the info. Bit disappointed, to be honest. You would have thought they'd introduce mine clearing with some sort of hacking or engineering skill instead of a drone, but fair enough. Maybe they change it. But at least when they did the concept, they had drones doing it. Would imagine an armistice zone wouldn't be mined. I'm hoping that they're still taking away armistice zones. Mining is dull to you as it is. Oh, well. And the mining gadgets often don't work. The content of the containers cannot be sold from the container detached from the golem. Listen, man. You can pick... Yes, we can pick particulars of every game loop that makes it not work. I will agree with you on that. But as far as, like, does the gameplay happen? Mining does happen. I don't even remember what we were talking... Oh, I think we were talking about large-scale gameplay. Like, compared to the state that large-scale gameplay is in, mining is in a great place. Drones will be useless if it's not AI controlled, and it has to be direct player controlled. Why will they be useless? You can still control it as a player. Didn't crew clarify that comment? Which comment? About mines? You can now sell mining ores directly from the pods. Does it work on the golem? You've got to have armistice zones. Look, their whole model was they were going to remove armistice zones and the game was going to take care of the security. That's what I hope they do. That's just what they said they were going to do. Probably wouldn't care about it if they had never said that, to be honest. Now that we can remove the bag from the rock, are we able to load the bag onto a freight elevator at a mining outpost to sell? Yes, we did that a couple weeks ago. You enjoy mining? It's nicely complex. I think it's pretty nice. Yeah, I do it every once in a while. It works on old ships? Okay. So you can sell the mining from the bags. 2010, you should try mining in the new update. It might be better than you remember last time. Because I was also using the gadgets the other day. They were annoying, that's for sure. But they did work. Yeah, it's the plan to have drones be player controlled. Oh yeah, Gumbo, we went over that whole conversation. That's why, I don't know if you just came in. We just used this to go over all of the Nautilus stuff. Problem with removing armistice zones is that board players suck. Throw the board players in prison. Give them a freaking crime stat, throw them in prison for however long they committed a crime for. Fine them for money. Like, hurt them. Hurt their gameplay so that they don't do it again. Player could only directly control 1 or 2 drones depending on how they set it up. If it's guided by players but AI flies them, fine. But CIG recently stated a player would directly fly the drones. That limits how many player drones can go out. Yeah, that's how they've always stated it. It was always meant to be you either do something or you control the drone kind of gameplay. I don't know how that works with base building. I think that might be different with base building, but at least as far as like the Vulcan went, when they first started talking about drones, that's how they introduced them. One of the first things to happen will be people perfecting quantum interdiction to have the victim de-quantum in the middle of mines. I mean, if that person is dequantuming people in the middle of mines and they get a kill, how long do you think it would take before somebody comes and kills them? Guess they would just need to keep going to different places and mining different areas, but you could maybe also add something to a quantum field that no, you can't add an EMP to a interdiction field. That's not fair. Oh, I don't think they should remove armistice zones till there are plenty of penalties for death, security, reputation, crime stats, all that stuff. Not saying do it now. Ever go out to an asteroid field and mine in a ship? Yes, we did a couple weeks ago on stream. Prison's broken too. Well, that's why we don't turn off the armistice zones yet. You just want to keep a pressure on CIG. Pressure them where they need to be pressured. But I say give them some props if they actually have something working for players. Why don't they just put big hovering guns and torpedo launchers around the Idris P in Area 18? Because they don't run well enough, probably. Oh, nothing about the Erastra. The Erastra's... yeah, there's been nothing there. Okay, now I want to talk on actual ship news. All the other ships, all the things that are going on with ships. We're going to do a long segment here with plenty of stuff to cut out. People interested in actually playing the game that work, but for the sadly large number of folks, they'll do it on repeat just for lulz and wait to get out and do it again. For the sadly large number of folks, they'll do it on repeat just for the lulz. You're talking about like killing people? But there's got to be some consequence to killing people. Even if you do it outside of the cities, there still needs to be some way for them to take those players out, you know? What if when somebody rams a cargo ship and gets a crime stat, the insurance charges or garnishes UEC gains to cover the cost of reimbursements to the cargo player? Like they charge the person who did the... It's hard because it's hard to detect who might have created that situation. It's these things you worry CIG doesn't account for. If someone called for help against a move like that, people would respond, but I just wonder about the balance of minds. But do you honestly think that they don't think about those things? I mean, I understand thinking maybe they think about it and then discredit it or like think it doesn't matter or something, but I can't imagine they don't think about these things. Like, imagine how much time they're taking to design these ships. They must be sitting around a table being like, yeah, this will be cool when this happens and cool when that happens. Oh man, but what if this happens? Like there's like a lot of people that hear about it. It goes through a lot of folks that would probably want to pick it apart to try and find these things out. I just think that they probably don't have the direct answers to them, so they don't put any information out regarding those things, so we don't do exactly what we've been doing today, which is go back, find their old information, and hold them to it. Oh, somebody's being a problem in chat. I think there should be basic fee to bump yourself from hostile up to non-hostile, but it gives a huge rep loss to the enemies of that faction. Mines will cost money. Money will not be easy to come by in 1.0 like it is now. Hopefully neither will mines. Nothing regarding the Expanse. I think they consider most scenarios, but the ingenuity of players to break things is fairly well known to most game devs, if I'm not mistaken. We do have whole orgs and guilds dedicated to abuse. Yeah, and we have some real freaking big brain space freaks in Evocati. I mean that in the best way, guys. Y'all are beautiful. The camera quality is good? We have good camera quality?
Whatever settings we have here right now, please.
I'm not using any settings.
Incredibly clear, there's no lag. It's great.
Look, when our equipment works, it's so good that my wife runs in and starts celebrating. It's working! The camera! I didn't change anything. This is just how it works. Some days it's like, hey, I'm working. You guys will notice that on the podcast too. Sometimes the podcast glitches, sometimes it doesn't. Software. YouTube chat making trouble again. I guess so. I only saw one side of the conversation, but shoot, if YouTube is auto blocking every single one of your comments, then maybe make your comment a little more normal. Is it true that CIG is working on a new capital ship that won't be in Squadron? Rumor from China Bar Citizen. I don't know. I can't possibly know more than China Bar Citizen does. I actually haven't even looked at the China Bar Citizen info in depth. We're going to be doing that later this week. They called us incels. Oh god. Imagine calling a married couple together in a stream incels. Man, people are freaking crazy. Absolutely crazy. We were standing outside after dinner at freaking Mother's Day. Mother's Day yesterday, might I tell you. And somebody drove by in their car and yelled the N-word at me and my whole family, including my mother, on Mother's Day. Not that there's any other day you should do that, but like people are freaking crazy with their unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary insults. They said multiple times that the Javelin will be the biggest viable ship. You're right. They did say that. Armistice zones just make it easier for people to grief. Server was on the other day. Had a dozen people flying just outside the armistice, blowing everybody up. Honestly, yeah. I mean, if you at least let you fight back. Kids in their parents' car. Yeah. Yeah, we're in the US right now. Yeah, that would not happen in Turkey. That would not happen in Turkey. That would be insane. Think a patch is imminent? Well, yes. It's definitely coming out this week. I don't think it's coming out for a couple days, though. We're in California. They shouldn't be banning people for exploiting exploits in an alpha test. They should take responsibility for their shortcomings and... Oh, shut up and fix it. I think they should probably put out a message telling people not to do it and fix it. But once they've acknowledged it, once they are recognized it, yeah, people should definitely get in trouble for exploiting it. If somebody, I was just reading about, like, if somebody finds a problem in your software, like you're a company like Apple or Google or somebody, and somebody finds a problem in your software and they tell you that they found it, and then you still and then other people still take that and use it to get into the system, I would absolutely expect those big companies to still be like, what the hell? No, we're gonna like, this is a problem. I don't think I don't think you should be excused from exploiting a game just because it's been acknowledged. Oh, I've been down to Long Beach. I used to live in Westchester. Spent a lot of time out at Manhattan Beach. Good place. We were down there earlier this month, and it was cloudy the whole time. What's up with that, huh? What happened? What happened, Southern California? Hope the patch launches today so you could do some of the new missions. I hope so for your sakes, Corey. Want to know what happens in the Expanse? Wait, what? Are you talking about we were talking about the ship. There's a ship in Star Citizen called the Expanse. Somebody was asking about any news on it. Thank you guys, by the way. I see everybody saying sorry that happened, and apologies and the thoughts. I appreciate it. It's just the way things are going, you know? Ever go meet Bam? No, Bam from the what's it called? What was it called? He's a skateboarder. He was in that crazy, ridiculous show where they did terrible things to themselves. I can't even remember. Jackass, that's it, yeah. Yeah, you talking about Bam from Jackass? Did he live in Westchester? I don't think exploiting the economy is really going to give them great data, to be honest. I think we've actually had to get wipes to the game because of economy exploits. If anything, I think that probably when an exploit pops up, they realize they can't use the data anymore, or when it makes too big of a difference. Because like, if you try and balance your economy based on what happens when an exploit is discovered, then how does the economy work when that exploit's taken away? As soon as an exploit's discovered, if people keep using it, then it's like, okay, well, what's the point of that data? Oh, it was filmed in Westchester. Okay, I got you. I think they also filmed Parks and Rec in Westchester. Actually, they filmed a couple things. What was it? What's that show called? Modern Family? And the Steve Jobs movie, one with Ashton Kutcher. Supply or die already destroyed the current economy. They're probably not getting data for it then. This would be the perfect time to add blockchain to the game. Oh boy. Parks and Rec was filmed in British Columbia. I could have sworn it was filmed at the Westchester Park for some of the scenes. They not? Oh my god, have I been wrong this whole time? It literally just pulls up the Park and Rec. Parks and Rec TV show. Wow, they actually have all the filming locations. This is far too many to go through. Yeah, no, they filmed a ton in California. I'm not even going to try and find where my place though. Does not say that they filmed at Westchester though. So maybe we're both wrong. Turns out they actually didn't film in California or British Columbia. Either way, not really that important. Let's talk about ships, y'all. Where was the okay. So the goal here is to look at all of the ships from the monthly report and all the ships that we've seen talked about recently and kind of just get updated on where everything is. We've got our spreadsheet here, our handy dandy spreadsheet, and we're gonna update it as we go. Let's start with the Starlancer TAC. I think we all kind of know where things are going with this. Pretty straightforward. Pretty in your face. They just released a video. Oh my god. That was so loud. They just released a video for this one. And to be quite honest, the ship is freaking awesome.
And between that and the cargo bay is a small medical room.
No other MISC ships has a medical bay, so it was a bit hard at the first to get used to it, like how the design will be.
I love this. I think this is my favorite medical bay in the whole game so far. Whoa. Restream, what just happened to you? Hey, Sentry, thank you for the Prime sub on Twitch.
What I feel the people will notice most will be the aesthetic of it. These bright lights and those metal floors. It's a bit high-tech, but it's not like very high maintenance.
The engineering and the cockpit are the same as the Max.
And in the cockpit, it's very spacious. It's accommodate pilot, co-pilot. It looks really cool because it's integrated with the bridge.
The turret room is located in the belly of the ship. At first glance, it resembles a shrine to warfare with all the red lights around the ammunition, and the turret sits on the left and the right. It looks really cool. The animations are really cool. From the hatch closing over the player to the seat rotating and going into the turret. and the cons sliding out in preparation for battle.
I hear the firing arc on this thing is terrible, on this turret. I haven't actually gotten to see anything on it yet, but it's a nice shot though.
Preparation for battle.
I don't know, we'll have to see. They're purposefully not showing that, right? So this ship is clearly ready for the game. Release is imminent. And it's coming out probably within the next like 2 weeks. So I don't even, let's see. I need to come up with a better label for this than team. Like I said, I didn't make this spreadsheet. Somebody else did. Somebody else, I mean Google. But release is imminent. We'll call this I'm just going to call this a quest runner, to be honest. It's like really good for that. Any notes? Any notes, guys? Any notes? Yay. We like this ship. Yay. And the first mention of this would have been November 2024. All right. Team. All right, everybody gets a team. I don't even know how to put you guys all on different teams, but we're going to make a team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 4. What do we do with these teams? How does one know if they're on one team? I'm going to have to like take down names in this spreadsheet. Can I do that? Is that too much work? Is this an insane... Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. Is this an insane idea for me to do if I like make another sheet? And we make a column for each team. Team 1. Why would I need teams? Nobody's putting bets. We're not actually doing bets. Stop it. Distracting myself. Okay. So that's a Star Lancer tack. Let's talk about the next one. What was it? The Asgard. Don't actually know too much about this. They just kind of showed it to us briefly here. So here's the Asgard, and it does look a lot like a Valkyrie. You see the name here, it's confirmed. It's a little bit, it's mostly similar. I think it's got a wider set hips back here. It's got the booty. The thrusters are all the way up here, which I'm not entirely sure why. It looks interesting. It definitely adds a different silhouette and visual style to it, but as far as like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe it would make sense. I feel like the connection point would be lower, but the thruster might still be high. I don't know. So this ship is mainly meant for vehicle transportation on a smaller scale, but it's fairly similar to the Anvil, Valkyrie. Not really to the point where you could just make them a modular ship or a direct variant of each other, but it's close. We will go over this here in a couple of minutes. We're going to look at this ship overall and get a better idea of how it is. You can fit a golem inside. That's pretty cool. So, the Anvil Asgard. Team 2. This one is a vehicle transport. Release is imminent. Big booty. Oh, big booty Valkyrie. First mention May of 25. Straight to flyable. Ooh, yeah, that's what we can do. Okay, that's what we can do. Oh no, this is their... What could this column be, guys? I've already got the role the ship fits, the name of the ship. I don't need one for manufacturer. The status, what phase it's in, notes, first mention. What other column would I need? People gonna shoot those main thrusters off? Hopefully the game, I hope the ship knows how to protect itself from that. When it first came out, people complained that the main thruster's exhaust hit the back of the ship, so they raised them. Why not just make them work like the terrapins where they point outwards? Priority, solo, crew. We've got the role for best use. No, team. So this isn't even like when I made this spreadsheet, this wasn't meant for this. It was meant to be a product management spreadsheet or whatever. I'm just kind of changing it around. I could just get rid of this column. It's not that important. I just like pretty colors. Let's see. The things we're thinking of when we go over these monthly reports, we're reading these, right? And we're reading RSI Apollo continued through the gray box phase with new concepts for the med bay. Finally for ships. Honestly, I don't think we need anything, guys. I'm just going to get rid of that column. But we are working on something that we can do so that everybody who's in the chat can like, we can have some sort of little stream competition that we're all taking part in, but I'm gonna get rid of this one. All right. Asgard's here. Graycat MTC. We literally just went over this, so pretty clear that this thing is coming along like right now. So let's go ahead and add this one to the sheet. MTX role is a ground raider. Rework or gold pass. Well, actually, that would still go here. So we can even add rework and make this like yellow, and then we'll add gold pass as like a wait, how does that make sense? Why did I make the rework golden colored and the gold pass I was gonna make purple? Let's change that around. This one will be gold, this one will be purple. There we go. Okay. Great for 2-person ground contracts. Yeah. First mention, November 2024, because as you all may remember, we go back to CitizenCon and we will go and check our silhouette video one more time and see that the second vehicle is indeed this Graycat. So we still got this one, still got this one. We just now are getting this as well. We got this. We got this. We have no idea what this is. Don't know this. We're working on this. We got this. Yeah, we got this. They're working on this. Working on this. Working. We actually don't know for sure what's going on with this, but they are working on this. So they're working their way through that silhouette video very well. But the MTX is definitely getting passed off there. Said make this a little bigger. Or MTC, not MTX. Think the Star Lancer TAC will be released for Invictus? And if so, do you think there will be a possibility to try it out? Yes, absolutely do think it's releasing for Invictus. You know what? Maybe that's a column we can make. Expected release. I think somebody had even mentioned that. So Invictus, whoops. MTC, Invictus, and we'll just continue with this one too, Invictus. All right. And this last one is the Guardian. We actually don't have news on that either, but we do have a couple of shots of that from this recent video. Not many, and they keep it kind of in wraps. So here's one. This is the first one I saw and I was like, wait, that looks like the Guardian, but it looks cooler. Like it looks more like the TIE Bomber or the TIE Interceptor, huh? Because these are longer, these are wider. I love the way this looks, man. I'm about to just disable all the missiles, save that weight for myself, put some repeaters on this, and use this as my runabout. The only thing it's missing is a freaking bed. Ah, that kills me. So this is the new Guardian here. And there's a couple of shots of it throughout this episode. I think the next one might actually be at the Invictus here. Yeah. So here it is again. You can kind of see it in more light. But we will know more about this later in the week. And here's your confirmation that the Starlancer is coming out at Invictus. It's definitely confirmed. Hey, Charles. Looks like a proper TIE interceptor. Yeah, it's really cool looking. Yeah, no bed in the new Guardian variant. How do we know it doesn't have a bed if we don't talk about leaks? Occasionally I read something. Yeah, they did say that you don't need beds for logging out, but that's not the case yet. You see the cockpit in the middle of the video? Here we go. Yeah, see, I'm going to do this. Repeaters on this ship. Oh, that already looks so cool. Oh, man. Very nice. I kind of like the screens, too. Honestly, a two-person fighter from Mirai would be very interesting to see. I wonder what that would look like. Maybe they need to sell a camping kit or inflatable mattress. Dude, honestly, that's what I always... I rant about this a lot, man. I would really love if they just stuck to the whole bed log out thing, but allowed us to carry beds. And then the bed is just physicalized as long as you're logged out. So you still have to pay attention to where you're logging out at. And you still need a bed to log out. So you got that benefit over other people. I don't know, man. That's one of those same things where I'm like, why do master modes as an arbitrary stopping point for power instead of allowing engineering and the way you tweak your ship to change that speed? And then we were like, that's crazy. It's so weird that they're doing that. And then they came back and now they are doing it. So I'm really hoping it's the same thing with the beds. And they just like, oh yeah, what you really meant is you can take a bed anywhere. I hope. Yeah, attach a bedroll to your backpack. Like, let it take up a inventory slot. Why don't the ship seats recline into a bed? That's only a feature on the gaming chairs for the ship seats. Unfortunately, you gotta upgrade to your Shadow Legends chair. I don't know, what's the Secret Labs chair? So that's the Guardian MX. Where is that on our list? Release imminent, Invictus. No bed, but really cool looking. And for that reason, I'm not out. This was first mentioned November of 2024. It counts, right? Not like, technically it wasn't in the 2023 one. Okay. Now we finally can check out the monthly report. Let's get rid of some of these tabs. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. Okay, we still have to go through that. Back to the monthly report. In the EU, the team focused on closing out tasks for Invictus launch week, with the MISC Starlancer also completed for its upcoming flyable release. Progress was also made on 4 unannounced ships. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start by getting rid of these 2. And put a couple rows here. 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4. And name these all unannounced. Unannounced ship. See, this is going to be way easier to keep track over the course of these monthly reports now, guys. Okay, so these are all excuse me. These are all unannounced ships. There we go. And this is a heavy fighter with a missile focus. Stream not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends or Secret Labs gaming chairs. No. God, no. That'd be really funny if I was sitting in a Monster Tech chair talking about Secret Labs. Really hoping for engineering gameplay like that. You're convinced that people don't really hate master modes. They hate the flight balance of master modes. I think people just hate flying slow. I don't think they hate master modes either. They're going to get rid of master modes and people are still going to have the same problem. They fly too slow. Doesn't feel as fun. Invictus. Invicitus. That's a different event. These are coming at different times than these other ones at Invictus. Sponsorship when? Someday. Add the note for the TAC. Wait, what happened to my TAC note? Yay. Okay. So we got unannounced ships. What were they saying about these? Progress was made on 4 unannounced ships. The first is progressing through White Box towards full production. What does that mean, towards full production? Oh, well, yeah, what does that mean, towards full production? The only thing I can think that means is that it is currently has a lot of hands off in the White Box phase. And when they say full production, they mean they're going to bring in sound folks, tech art, animation, all that stuff. We have no idea what this is because they didn't, this is literally all they say about it. So all we know is that it's in the White Box phase. Now, if it's headed towards full production, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a potential IAE release. So I'm going to put it in as maybe IAE, and then we'll change that up as we keep going. Let me double check our March monthly report. See if it was mentioned there. This might be a first mention for this ship. All right, so in the UK, an unannounced vehicle passed Grey Box review, so that would not be this. 2 other vehicles received bug fixing pass, not this. Pioneer and White Box, no. Progressed on 2 upcoming RSI ships. We don't know what those are. Oh, okay. First is Apollo. Second is the Perseus. All right. Work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles. 2, a variant of a popular ship passed Grey Box review. So we don't know what that is. But let's put it down. So this is a, let's put this here. Unannounced ship. It passed its Grey Box review, which means it is in final art at this point. It might still be in Grey Box, but it passed its review. This says a variant to a currently popular ship, first mentioned in March 2025. Passed Grey Box review in March. That's all we know. So we'll keep that on there. We don't know a role. All we know is it's unannounced. What comes after that? Another variant is approaching Grey Box review. So that's an additional variant, unannounced ship. It was in Grey Box last we heard. Approaching Grey Box review in March. We'll also put this down as a March 2025 mention. And wasn't there another one? An all-new model entered production in preparation for its White Box review in early April. Actually, yeah, so let's pass this Grey Box review. So this one would be then an all-new. You know what? I kind of want to bring back that column now. This is for vehicle type. And we will say the two options here are I want to say new model, variant, or rework / gold standard. And that way we can take the gold pass out of this. So this will be stages and this will be status. I'll switch that up here in a second. We're gonna make this actually gold because we fancy. Yeah, it's a good gold. A variant will be blue, and a new model will be a lovely tomato red. E5 3838, baby. All right. So these will be our vehicle type, and this will be dev phase. Hey, what did I say? Vehicle type, buckaroo. Starlancer TAC is a variant. Asgard variant. MTC new model. Guardian variant. Okay. This is a variant to a popular ship. And this is a gray box review in March. That was another variant. And then this new one was a new model. Unknown. And it's preparing for its white box review at that time. Star sheet. I'm already getting confused by this, man. First mention, March 2025. And did they leave us any notes here? No, just white box review in early April. Okay. So I think that's it for the March report. I really wanted to get the March information just to... Oh! My camera just died. What the heck? All right. Sorry, y'all. I just lost camera for some reason. I think maybe it wasn't plugged in all the way. That's weird. We shouldn't talk good about these things. Well, we'll keep going. Where was I? Some areas progressed because the Apollo white box review in early April. Okay, let's just double check February just to make sure we're not missing anything. February monthly report. Hopefully that hopefully the camera comes back soon. Plugged in. Yeah, we can't talk good about technology these days. We're gonna have to wait a little bit to turn it back on. Okay, there were no... Is it overheating? Yeah, there's no ship news on February, so we're good there. All right. So I think we're pretty set. Let's continue on with the April monthly report now. So progress was made on 4 unannounced vehicles. The first is progressing through white box towards full production. So we have nothing on that. Maybe IAE will say progressing towards full production in April. You can try a different, yeah, if you want. Have we tried to turn it on and off again? Well, it turned itself off, so we're already halfway done. They didn't say if this is a variant or not, but they're unannounced vehicles, so I'm assuming they're new models. So we'll put this in as a new model. The next one is approaching its gray box review and LOD 0 complete stage. Now, what we don't know is if that's one of these that they had already mentioned. Who's to say this second one approaching its gray box review in April isn't also maybe this one that was progressing towards full production in March. And I think I just confused the crap out of myself. Sorry. This is supposed to be in March. This is supposed to be unannounced variant. Yeah, that's February. No, god dang it. I'm sorry. I'm getting myself confused here. Because this is the April month report. This is everything that happened in April. Good lord. Sorry, guys. No, the Guardian MX is announced because that was at CitizenCon. It could count as unannounced with the Asgard. It could be the unannounced. It could be the Asgard is the unannounced variant. But even then, I think that's too close. This would have only been a month ago. Second is approaching its gray box review and LOD 0 complete. This is the problem we run into. They don't give any of these things names. They don't reference them or anything, so we don't know if they are the same ship, and we could get it could get really confusing really quickly. Okay, the third was briefly shown on a recent episode of Inside Star Citizen. I don't even know what this could be. Hey, we're back! Mrs. Tomato with the IT support. I hope the camera survives. Recent Inside Star Citizen. What could that even be? The only thing I can think of is the Star Citizen Live where they showed off concept work, but that's not Inside Star Citizen. That's Star Citizen Live. This is an unannounced ship that was shown on Inside Star Citizen. Let's put this down. Unannounced ship. Must be a new model. No idea where it would be. Did they say where it would be? Briefly shown on Inside Star Citizen progressing through concept. Okay. So it is a concept, new model, shown on Inside Star Citizen in Q1. Which means that the first time we seen this thing was probably March of 2025, or at least close to. Kruger Fighter. I believe that's what's about to get next afterward. We have it here. It would have had to have been the month, the episodes, anything that came up before the 7th. So it couldn't have been either of these two. Definitely wasn't this. That was just attack. Could it have been this? Was there any ships? Were there any ships in this I missed?
For every purpose, kind of
you guys recall anything from here?
About on someone. We're on the right to do and start.
I mean, this is mostly about hair. This is the tack, right? I mean, it's not like they're going to talk about that. There's an Inside Star Citizen with all the small ships. What one was that? Is that this year? Oh, camera's going again. This is a really bad camera. This is Star Citizen Live. This is Star Citizen Live.
Yeah, I just...
Star Citizen Live. This is not Inside Star Citizen. This is Star Citizen Live.
Hello. Welcome. It's a beautiful day in...
I mean, they could have made a mistake. I really hope that they can get something as simple as referencing Star Citizen Live or Inside Star Citizen correctly. Because that's kind of a big difference. But I'm with you. I mean, what else could it be? Inside Star Citizen is completely drained of anything beyond 2 weeks out, so it's not like they would have shown a ship on there. We'll mark this as tentatively the RSI Salvager. Expected release, meh, have to. All right. That's why we have a notes section, everybody. Let us continue. What else do we have here? The fourth vehicle, the first in a while from an existing manufacturer, has been formally kicked off. Now, this is a pretty big give. It's hard not to suggest that this is going to be a small fighter from Kruger, as like we all kind of know that they haven't done anything in a while, and we've seen those concepts. I don't have even have any notes for it. Other than that, we know about it. The consolidated Outland Pioneer continued through pre-production and white box phases. The modular kits were solidified alongside some structural changes to improve the flow and movement of the ship. Coolio. So the Pioneer, CNOU Pioneer, is most definitely a new model. Large base building. Still in the white box phase. Probably coming out in 26. This ship thick. And it was first mentioned in what? November of 2017, I think. One for the backlog. And if you don't know, we can take a look at the Pioneer real quick. Kind of showed you some of it just last week.
The bottom floor of the refinery.
Tech something 003.
Yeah, I just have to give indications. Like there is a lot of there is the name of my dog in the yellow area. There is Brangino somewhere.
Where?
Can we point?
If you look at the yellow area, but in the other images.
It's all yellow, mate.
Back in this one?
No, forward.
Forward?
Yep. Yeah, there he is.
What is Brangelino?
Yeah, Brangino.
Brangino! Hell yeah.
And indications on the font. I don't know what to write there, but I know that something has to go there.
Did not know what to write, indeed.
It's gonna be British slang as well, Brangin.
So this is the most recent stuff we've heard of, but if you really want to see what this ship truly looks like, there's a very detailed walkthrough. Well, it's not a walkthrough, an overview. Somewhere. It's out here somewhere. I'll give you a whole walkthrough.
Rooms, and then
in the meantime, I can see I got the date wrong there.
Interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship, and then top and bottom of that in this image, we have the escape pod rooms, and then leading off those is the access to the manned turrets that remain. Then going downstairs, we have the cargo area at the top. Doesn't look like a lot. That's 1,000 SEU of cargo now in that space.
Here's a walkthrough of it. An actual walkthrough, or a fly-through.
Yeah, so we're going to have a little look at kind of like the concept and where it's at on the interior. We start out on the interior bridge. It's very spacious, or command deck bridge, whatever you want to call it. It gives kind of really nice views out over the front of the ship. And right up front, you've got all the consoles required that you need to kind of control the ship, as well as the kind of additional remote turret access consoles. And then at the rear, we have the main kind of navigation components and some small engineering consoles. And kind of flanking either side, we've got these two corridors, and they lead out to the manned turrets that kind of sit above the bridge. And they also have all the escape pods needed for all the bridge crew. Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home, so we have a very large, comfortable habitation area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up, and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want.
Dude, that looks like misery to sleep in. Are you kidding me? Who's clapping for this?
Open up, and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want.
It's like a large sleeping bag made of sheet metal.
This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay, the internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SEU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back that, again, just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle. Down at the front, we have the drone room. Now, these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game. They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area. And finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside. And then as these open up, we just finished making a storm. And as we see, there's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicles straight out the front. Between all the landing gear, and you get this really nice kind of like sense of scale as you're driving underneath out the front of the ship. And we've also got the top exit for any flight vehicles. And then finally, we have the landing pad, and this just allows us for any ships that land up on deck, we can just bring them down into the belly of the ship.
How unrealistic. Who has a Nomad these days? Suckers.
So,
GII representing the front row there. So that's like a pretty decent walkthrough of what the Pioneer looks like inside. It's freaking huge. Pretty OP in my opinion. I mean, I'm using that term very lightly. I don't actually mean OP like they've designed it to break the game. It's just got everything it needs, except for people. So I'd be interested in seeing how this thing launches into the game and what the downsides of it will be. It is massive. Big old pinata. But it is nowhere near complete. It's going to be a while. So we're definitely going to make sure that is reflected on our spreadsheet. And yeah, we'll call this extra large base building so we can be a little more technical. Yeah, definitely 2026 expectation. Honestly, I would say October or November 2026. And we can tune that in as we get closer. All right. What's the next up on there? numerous paints were also created for new and existing ships for release in upcoming events. Yay! The North American content team began closing out 2 new variants with polishing and bug fixing. Okay, so one of these could be the Guardian MX. I don't think the other one would be the Asgard. I don't think they're calling the Asgard a variant. An all-new ship progressed too, with recent decisions being made on cargo capacity and tractor beam placement. Okay, so this is at least, we know for sure there's an all-new... Whoa! Don't start freaking... Whoa! Why is it doxing people, bro? Bro, is that because this has to be a... That's terrible. What's wrong with you? How do I turn that off? Do not link people. What the heck? Freaks. I'll just put it in here for now. All new ship. And then I guess I'll just copy paste it over. That's freaking crazy, dude. All right, so this is going to be a new model as an all new ship. It is release imminent. Oh, I could delete these too. Right? Recent decisions. Wait, all new ship progressed with recent decisions. Oh, there's nothing about this actually getting close to polish. So we'll keep that off here for now. I actually don't know where this is. Okay, we can't select anything now. But it's going to be out this summer. Well, we don't know that either. We don't know anything about this. All that it has cargo capacity. And a tractor beam. And we'll say first mention was April of 2025. I'm actually going to link this so that we can easily get back here. Oh, doesn't work like that. Alrighty. Dude, you're triggering me with all these ellipses in chat. Dots scare me, you know? Guardian MX is probably one of the variants because the Guardian and the QI were both done by the North American team, and the variant is also. Yeah, I'm thinking that is one of the variants. What do you think of the other, though? Do you think the other is the Asgard or something else? You step away after hearing your camera was operating perfectly today and come back to avoid where the imagination. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how technology works, dude. If it hears you doing something, then it's gonna break that for you. Okay, so we're thinking it's another variant then? Ah, son of a freaking... A new variant. Freaking cut this and put it over there. So variant. It's receiving polish. So we'll say release imminent, but I actually think this would be a, let's say June 2026 release. Possible RSI. Leak ship. First mention, April 2025. Same report. Jun 26. It's June, not Jun. Fine. Yeah, I want to take that. No, stop. I want to take this people thing out. How do I do this? Conditional formatting. New. want you to stop doing that. Stop peopling it. I told you guys I'm not a spreadsheets person. Whatever, let's continue with the ships. We're not here to fix spreadsheets. We're here to talk about ships that we may never see. The RSI Apollo continued through the gray box phase with new concepts for the Med Bay area and the bridge. That's a good update. People like that update. People love the Apollo. We got a real hardcore Apollo fan base. And we've got that in here. RSI Apollo. We already knew it was being worked on, actually. This is a medium medical clinic. And it's working through its gray box phase. Expected release, I'm thinking half 2 2025, but that's if there's gameplay. I'm really hoping they don't, well, whatever. Let's just say Q4. I'm hoping they don't release it without gameplay. If this comes out without a medical gameplay update, I will literally die. First mentioned in what, like 2017? I think. When was this? Star Citizen Apollo. When was this first announced? 2018. July of 2018. Another one off the backlog. And the folks are ready and waiting. Oh, I'm just making this for my own track. I'm not really making it to put publicly. Who knows, maybe if it's ever fancy enough. Yeah, the Ironclad was also talked about. You are right about that. We'll add that on right now. Drake Ironclad is a new model. Large boy. And last we checked, it was in white box. Expected release. Honestly, I think November of 26. Some notes. Oh boy. The people love this ship. But no. It's not coming out for Invictus. Sorry, y'all. First mention of this was May of 2024. We're gonna need to add a couple more rows. Dude, look at all this freaking stuff we're tracking already. This is insane. One of these up here. Actually didn't get to talk about this, so... This ship, the RSI Salvager that we were expecting, we actually didn't look at what it looks like.
As well.
So this Salvager thing you can find here. They go over some of the possible possibilities and options.
This was meant to be like it's similar-ish to the Mantis actually. So it was like had some inspiration from that. So it's got on the front. It's got its little grabbies for doing its salvage stuff.
So the salvage arms will come out of these things here in the front?
Yeah, they did like come out, or they'd be like, we're not sure how much movement it's going to have on it yet, so there's still a lot of interpretation there, but it's also got like the little frilly bits on the side, like what the Vulture's got for the fracture field for the disintegrating stuff. I quite like that one.
And I think it's very cool. Chat's taking to this one really well.
Hell yeah.
Looks like a kind of a...
Chat, is it real?
It looks like a cover car.
Looks like a... It's kind of cool. Looks like a RSI hover quad ship. Like it definitely has some CNOU feelings to this, but also RSI. I guess they're both pretty utilitarian in design. This is a possible concept for an RSI salvage ship they're working on.
Chat, is it
And then there's this guy.
This guy, he's much more stereotypical RSI, I guess. It's like kind of got a Zeusy silhouette. So it's a lot flatter.
This one.
But it's also got its big salvage grabbies on the front.
Someone was a little edgy with that matte black.
I can't remember what manufacturers the
Anvil.
Huh?
Anvil?
Yeah. I definitely, you know, I look at this and I see some Pisces influence and everything, but we have this conversation all the time. Car makers ape each other left and right. You know, when Dodge brought that first Challenger back, or was it Charger or the Challenger? I can't remember which one came before. And then suddenly you saw Mustang emulate it. You saw everybody started making, you know, all throwbacks and stuff. So I see some Pisces stuff in here, but yeah, there's no mistaking the Zeus influence.
Yeah, it's like
and the RSI.
It wasn't exactly meant to have the same sort of Zeus at first, but then I looked at it, I was like, hang on, looks quite similar. So I'm gonna say it was on purpose, actually. Yeah.
And again, the brief here is a salvage starter. So this is the entry-level ship. Like when we say starter, I mean like you could start your Star Citizen journey with this.
Yeah, it's pretty like.
And obviously you would upgrade to things like the Fortune or the.
This is the salvage version of the Golem.
And then our third and final look. This is bold.
I quite like this one personally. This one was my, I guess, favorite of them, but it's not.
To be honest, I think the first one looks the most like what I would expect. The second one, I think I like the shape the most. None of them really tell me salvage, but they got to do a lot more design work on it in order to do that. They do say RSI though, except this one says kind of Anvil.
I quite like this one personally. This one was my, I guess, favorite of them, but it's not up to me. I just make the pictures.
Looks nice.
It's quite sharp, maybe a little too sharp, some people might say, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty RSI. It would have you can't see it from this view, but it would have the cargo comes out the back. Only holds a few cargoes. Don't expect to be hauling massive like claims in this, but I think he's neat. We'll see how it goes.
There's this.
This one looks like a little bomber to me, like a dive
idea
bomber.
in the community. We'll zoom out. We'll zoom out here and see if we can get it. There's this idea in the community that manufacturers are static and never evolving. That every single ship from Anvil needs to look like a variation of another one. That every single ship of Aegis, that every single ship of RSI, you know, again, in a decade of being here, you see this on.
Okay, so that was, I just wanted to show you the ship. There's also another one coming up here. This is the Kruger Intergalactic. We actually already identified this on the page. It's row 11, small light fighter. Don't know when it might be coming, but we do know it's in production. Most recently, let's see, we have it down as concept. What did they say here? Has been formally kicked off, yeah. So definitely in white box. It's gonna be a little while, but these are two small ships. We could definitely see these at any point this year. The funny thing is normally an expected release wouldn't be that hard to guess, but now that they're releasing ships every single month, it's like, okay, what month could this possibly be? Usually it's the big events. So here's that Kruger ship. See what it looks like, or what it might look like.
I'm seeing some strong, like 1950s retro sci-fi vibes here.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the ref that Ben and John picked out was, yeah, old cars, like retro cars, 50s, hot rods, World War II planes, especially like Spitfire, P-51 Mustang, Me-262, stuff like that. So yeah, very sleek, very chrome, spiky, rounded forms. Yeah, and that's just the
scale comparison here.
I forget how tiny the Merlin is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's going to be almost as big as the Gladius. This is going to be a cool ship.
Yeah.
I bet this will be pretty popular, actually. They haven't released a light fighter from a new company in a long time. They haven't released like very many light fighters over the last few years, I think. So this might be a new favorite for people, especially coming from Kruger.
Okay. We got some other images, you know, some other orthos here.
I like A the most, I think. It's kind of weird with the back part, but yeah, I like A a lot.
Now, besides the retro sci-fi aspect is obvious. I also see, you know, Naboo.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Which is the same influence. Everything Naboo was all built from those old 1950s retro sci-fi, kind of shape language and stuff. So it's one of those things. It's you find lots of times there's people who are like, oh, that looks like that ship from that franchise, and it's like, no, we weren't actually looking at that franchise. It's just they were using the same influence.
Bruh, this looks nice. Yeah, I like this. I hope they went with Model A. What do you guys think they went with?
Influences we were. So some interesting posteriors here. What are we looking at? Take us through some of these options. What's this thing in the back?
Oh, this isn't an industrial ship. These are fighters. The industrial ship was was RSI.
This was just a idea for keeping the circular motif that the Merlin has. It kind of, or the Archimedes as well, has this negative space, this hole in the middle of the fuselage on the wings, which is just a circle. So I was trying to implement that somewhere in the design. Rotating it.
I love this guy here.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
I love this guy too. I'm sitting here, I'm struggling with picking an early favorite here. Here's some more looks at that. I'm definitely a fan of like the lowered pylon thing.
The big nacelle, yeah.
I'm remembering the fighter from the 1985 Wolfgang Peterson movie Enemy Mine. Right now, Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. It's this one. Let me see if I can find the one that's making me think of that one specifically. This guy down here. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Nope, wrong button. I keep reversing it.
I thought the big circle was so we could put it on like a keychain.
Lathan, you're not allowed to talk, remember? Yeah. But yeah, with the little detached pylons, it's also very reminiscent of like the Buck Rogers of fighters and stuff, which is another tremendous thing. And I think this is our last. Did you just say what's Buck Rogers? Go to sleep.
The microphone's getting beat up. Freaking John Crew over here.
Buck Rogers. 2003.
Please don't clip that and put it out of context.
All right. Who's Buck Rogers? 2003.
So that's a look at some of the recent concept work that they've been doing. Again, that gives us a look at the Pioneer, the RSI Salvager, and the Kruger intergalactic ship they're talking about. But we also know that they have 4 unannounced ships that they're working on. Now, one of these, let's see, racing towards full production in April. A variant to a currently popular ship passing gray box review. Approaching gray box review in March. White box review in early April. See, this is like, these unannounced ships are going to be so confusing because they could say something about an unannounced ship and then they could say something about another unannounced ship the next month. We don't know if it's that one or the other. So we're kind of just guessing as to what's really getting updated when it comes to these unannounced, but we'll try to keep an eye on it as much as we can. Sometimes they reference previous monthly reports when they update them. So that's why we keep the notes. I love how I keep gesturing and looking at the camera like you guys can see me. But that is what we know from this monthly report. Now, as someone said, there's still a little bit more for us to take a look at. Let's jump over to the monthly report from November. It's a little while ago, I know, but it's the last time we got an update on an oh-so special, oh-so popular spaceship that the people lose their minds over. I'm going to check January just to make sure. So there was nothing on art side in January and nothing in February, I believe. Yeah, so we've got all the updates for this year so far, and this is going to be the last update from last year. And it really just shows that they have several vehicles working through white box and gray box, including the Pioneer, check, the TAC, check, the Apollo, check, and the Perseus, check. What we don't know about is the Drake Ironclad, the Anvil Paladin, and the Argo CSV-FM. So let's go ahead and add those on there as well. Drake Ironclad, we put that on there. White box last we know of. reported as of December 2024 being in the white or gray box. I'm going to say it's in the white box. First, yeah, okay. Wonder if I should put a most recent announcement or most recent update. Insert column, no, insert row to the right. Whatever. Last update. And for this, it's November of 2024. All right. Drake Ironclad. Let me show you a real quick touch up on that, just for anybody who does not remember what the Ironclad's all about. Once you see it, you'll remember it.
It kind of gives you a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you're transporting stuff that is quite valuable, quite sought after in maybe some of our less desirable systems. What it allows you to do is kind of have a little bit of security. So if you're getting attacked or you're getting yourself into trouble, if you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got two entrances onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like, almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is top floor of the ship, gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area. Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship. At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main functional components needed for moving such a large ship. And then if you kind of come slightly further forward, got we call it the kind of like the command deck. It's not a bridge, you can't fly the ship from it, but it's where you operate the tractor beams. It's where it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into space. You've got the tractor beam turrets.
Separating the command deck and the pilot is a very interesting choice, a pointed choice. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out.
But also, visually, you can kind of stand in this area or sit in this area and look out over the front and over the bow of the ship and kind of really see what you're trying to pull in or what you're trying to capture into your cargo hold. As we come downstairs, we've got a little kind of covered area at the rear of the cargo hold, and that is where you can store a couple of small ground vehicles or some of your equipment for moving vehicles and cargo around. And then you're into the main cargo hold of the ship, and this takes up the majority of the interior space, is this large cargo hold. One of the things that we were kind of really keen to do was give lots of different views and different angles down into this cargo hold. Again, as we're exploring slightly less lawful systems, we wanted to give the players as much opportunities as we can to kind of be safe aboard their own ship. So either side of the cargo hold, we've got these gantries that run completely front to rear on the ship, and they give great view down into your cargo bay. They also give that opportunity of if there's someone tries to board you via the cargo bay, it gives you some nice cover opportunities. And
I bet they built these easier to shoot around because the ones in the Reclaimer are so frustrating to do so with.
Also got a few little windows that kind of look down into it as well. As you move to the kind of like the very front, the very nose of the ship, those gantries lead into a kind of secure cargo area. It's somewhere that's a little bit more difficult to get to when you kind of enter the ship. The big thing we were referencing when we were looking at it was this idea of police evidence rooms. And so these kind of individual cages where you could put your most secure cargo, whatever it might be, in this area, and it would make it quite difficult to try and breach in or out of that area. So it gives us just somewhere a little bit more secure for kind of smaller cargo items. Finally, at the very front, we've got access to one of the main turrets and the tractor beam turret.
The biggest attraction for me with it is just the versatility of the cargo space. From a good citizen law standpoint.
Yeah. You can tell this is the kind of ship that's going to get people excited. And it has. It very much has. It looks like most people in chat are indeed thinking it's an IAE kind of release. We shall see. I think I've got all the information here. Large boy, white box. November. Let's see if we can spell that correctly. Yes, we did it. Next up, the Anvil Paladin. Also was in white/gray box back then. So my calls on the Ironclad from the beginning of the year are still correct. My calls on the Paladin, not so much. I was hoping that the Paladin was going to be an Ironclad shoe-in, but it very clearly is not. As a medium gunship, seems to still be in the white and or gray box phase. We'll set expectations at white just in case. I do think, I do think this is a half 2 release, but I have no idea what month it might be. Probably October, November. Why don't we just put in October just for funsies? Cool boy. Oh man, I don't even know when this thing was first revealed to us. I think that's got to be a... Wait, that was literally last year, huh? It was shown off at CitizenCon, right? Or Invictus. It was shown off at... Not Invictus, IAE. In that case, we'll say that the last update was December. So let's just put this as IAE 2025 and this one as CitizenCon 2025. ILW is Invictus launch week. Alrighty. You're fairly upset with the announcement Drake isn't going to be at ILW at all, so that makes 3 out of 4 of the manufacturers that aren't going to have a place at ILW. Well, Drake's never at ILW. They always do their own separate thing. I just think they're just not doing that this year. But you can still rent the ships. 3 out of 4 manufacturers that aren't going to have a place. Aren't there other... Wait, no, because you got RSI, Anvil, Aegis, Consolidated, MISC. No, you don't have Consolidated, just MISC. Those are the 4. I think Graycat. I've got 5. And then there's Drake. Drake would be the 6th, and they won't be there, but there's still going to be 5 manufacturers actually in place. Let's see. Oh, Argo CSV FM. Forgot about that for you. So this is a ground vehicle. Stop that. It is a variant of an already existing vehicle, but this is the small fabrication vehicle. And it was also in white box. Expected release? Ooh. Yeah, that's a hard one. This likely the first dedicated base building vehicle due to release with the first base building patch. That's my opinion on it. First revealed to us in October of 2024 and updated in December of 2024. But expected release, I do think this is a half. I think it's a Q3. Oh, I kind of want to say October though. which actually makes me think this isn't going to be CitizenCon 25. This might be Q1 26. This, though, I'm going to say like anywhere from September to November of 2025. That's right. I make the rules on this spreadsheet. Anybody else got a guess for that one? Zarek, I'm definitely going to pick the white box bet on that one. Money's on. Drake is in an extra large hangar at the spaceport. We access it through the normal elevators like they cheated their way in by getting a normal hangar. They would have to go from concept to gray box in 6 months, which is highly unlikely for the Ironclad. Their concept was very well along, though, last year in May. So technically that timeline started a little earlier. But maybe it is going to go to... I don't know. The Ironclad's a weird one. Why is this green? You're not special. The Ironclad is kind of a weird one. And I'm not really sure if... How do I change this back? Go away. Leave us alone. It's just stuck like that? Okay. The FM, the CSV FM, is CitizenCon wise.
And large and extra large.
So this is why we have
and
the
a lot of
FM.
other things in our game. So it ranges from small all the way up to large and extra large, and our drones kind of fall into those classes as well. But what does it really mean? The difference between what's a small drone, what's a large drone, what's a larger than large and extra large, and so on. And basically, a medium drone, for example, can build any structure up to a medium size. So it can build smalls, mediums, and it will be able to build small structures faster than what a small drone would. So the size makes difference depending on how big you want to go. But the drones also scale in numbers. In the one drone can only make one structure at a time. So the grav cart's got 2 drones on it, so they'll be able to create 2 small structures. But a medium, or if you've got a vehicle that carries multiple drones, you can craft a lot more structures, a lot bigger sizes, and that's kind of really the key to kind of like the upgrade path through the kind of drone sizes. So we've had a look at the small. So what's next? What do you want to build? A medium. So I know some of you have already seen it, but this is the CSV from Argo.
So launching today is the very first ground vehicle from Argo, the Construction Support Vehicle, CSV. So this specialized chassis is developed to take off...
Okay, let's skip forward to the one we actually care about.
So we have the CSV FM, which stands for Fabrication Module. So this has 2 medium drones on board, and we built it to fit in as many vehicles as we could practically get.
You know what? Now that I think about it, this actually might not launch with the first base building. The first base building might just be that little push thing. Big ol' maybe here at the end of this statement.
Fit in. So it fits in vehicles from a Cutlass Black upwards. It's approximately, and everyone always asks me what ship fits in what, and I lose track of it all the time. It's about the size of a Tumbril Cyclone. So if you can put a Cyclone in a vehicle, you could put one of these in it.
Yes, I love putting things in other things.
And then it has an internal storage tank for resources. So it has a very small version of a freight elevator built into the back of it. So you feed it 1 SCU crates, it absorbs them into the holding tank on board, and then the drones will come back to the vehicle to refill. And it also has a size 0 serial generator on board for a bit of added protection.
You know, that feeding functionality that he just talked about sounds a lot like what they did here. Wherever. Somewhere here is going to be somewhere. This one. I bet it works just like this. And it's something that they're going to start putting on a lot more ground vehicles, this sort of functional freight storage kind of thing.
What happens when you run out of resources? This is where the CSV SM for supply model comes in. So the second CSV-based vehicle in the game, and this has a traditional 4 SEU cargo grid on the back. So
this one we already have.
1 SEU boxes.
We don't need to talk about that, but if you go all the way to the very end of the video here, it's not guaranteed this is a CSV FM. It could be, but when I was talking to Trist, he does the videos about the silhouettes. He was saying that it didn't really match up silhouette wise, so this might be a different CSV, but it also could be the FM. Either way, this one, we don't know where this is when it will come out. The last thing we know is that it was in white box back in November/December, and it's probably working alongside base building, which also didn't actually get a big update this last monthly report. We did see something about it in May or in March, but nothing in April. Also, hi, got my camera back on, finally. Come here, camera. Hopefully you can just last until the end of this. We're almost done. We're almost done. That, my good friends, my people, I believe that is everything we know about ships currently in development. I guess we could go ahead and add these other silhouettes here. No reason not to. We got a Drake mystery ship. Gosh dang it. Drake mystery ship. Obviously, it's in the concept phase, but it is a new model. We have no idea what it is. Dunno. Looks really weird, but interesting. We're pretty excited for it. But predictions are all over the place. And we will mark this down as first showing up in October 2024, which is also when it was first introduced. I almost want to have a column down here for confidence level, but I will probably touch on that next time we do this. And then there's also a CNOU mystery ship, which also is a new model. Concept phase. Also don't know. Also weird looking. Also October. End October. What else do we have on here? Whoops. I actually think I might take those off, because they're not technically being actively worked on. We just know about them. We added the Perseus, right? No, we didn't. We didn't even talk about the Perseus. What the heck? Okay, we'll get to that. We got the Ironclad. We got the Pioneer. We got the TAC. I think we touched on the Apollo. Did we? Yeah, touched on the Apollo. Fortune, Guardian, Terrapin, Hornet, something, Graycat, and this is the one we just touched on. So that's basically everything. Let's touch on the Perseus real quick, though. So we haven't talked about that. But yeah, as of right now, we know about 20 plus ships that they have put into development in some way. Not all of these are being actively worked on at the very moment, but these are all of the ships that are currently out in open development of Star Citizen. 20 plus. Good God. Let's touch on the Perseus real quick.
We had to make sure that the rear turret could not have a blind spot there, and then deal with the point defense system turrets to help alleviate those spots.
You want it to look aggressive, but you also want it to be unique. You want it to look like it's part of the family. When you see this ship, you know you're in trouble. That's what players are looking for.
So originally the brief for the ship was a real skeleton crew of 4 men. So you had the pilot, the captain, and the 2 turret gunners. But as we developed the ship, it sort of felt a bit odd that such a small crew was operating such a relatively large ship. So the crew size for the ship is 6 man. That gives you a pilot, captain, 2 manned turret guns because the S7 twin turrets are manned, and then it leaves you with these 2 extra roles that are really flexible in terms of what you want them to do.
So we wanted to layer in all the functionality that John wanted, but also make it easy to navigate. It should be clear for the player at any point what part of the ship they're in, and it's split over 3 decks. So the lower deck is your cargo and access to the lower turret, and then you go up, and then that's sort of the main deck, and that goes from front to back. You know, you can reach your front turret, torpedo room, or you can go right back into habitation and the captain's room. And there's also a central lift for ease of navigation, basically. And then the top floor is bridge, escape pods, and engineering section. So for a player, it should all be quite...
If this had a medical bay, it would be kind of like an RSI Starlancer TAC, huh? It's sort of similar. Like you could do... You still have really high ship defense. You have space for people on board. You just don't have as many like drop seats, but you have vehicle and cargo space. You don't have a medical bed. You also don't have that hangar. It's really missing that hangar. Gib hangar. Yeah. Ultimately, I think the Galaxy is going to be a good bet against attack. Perseus is an interesting one, though. You've been hearing good things about 411. Do you think it'll go live tonight? I don't know how it's playing. I don't think it'll go live today. But I have also been hearing good things. Why don't they develop and finish one by one ship at a time? Because they have a lot of ships to get through. And adding more people onto a single task project kind of thing, or just like a single ship isn't necessarily going to speed it up. If it had a hangar, it'd be better than the Polaris. Yeah, you can't put a hangar on this, can you?
Section. So for a player, it should all be quite straightforward.
I think this ship really will add something to the fleet gameplay that is growing within Star Citizen. We've already seen aspects of that with the Invictus launch week. You've seen the capital ships in game. There's obviously the Hammerhead in game already. When this is in game, you'll also have much more of a rounded fleet to play with that will provide a great threat and deterrence to other players.
If we've got missions to fit it too. I love the sandbox in this game, but with these bigger ships coming in, they really got to make sure we get good missions and opportunities for players to just kind of run through.
Citizen is sort of built around a capital ship, or capital ships as its core. So you have the Javelin, which is a destroyer, so that is designed for really duking it out with other big capital ships. You have the Idris, which is a carrier, so can sort of take on other big ships. It's got a big railgun on the front, but primarily it's there to deliver fighters. And then you have the Polaris, which is a long-range torpedo boat. And you have the Hammerhead, which is a great anti-fighter screen. But what we're missing is this hybrid role that sits between the Hammerhead and the Polaris, that is your fleet defense ship, that is moderately large size and capable of dishing out firepower to deal with large ship threats that aren't quite capital ships.
It has been a while since we've done an RSI ship. Obviously there are some in the fleet already, and then you take all those and you fold in the functionality.
When we were designing this ship, it was obviously built around the concept of having these large turrets. That you had a bridge on the front, but
guns are
it sort of
freaking
just
huge.
felt like a Polaris with a turret.
This turret looks like it's bigger than an Aurora. Jeez. So yeah, that's the Perseus, and that was, I think, the last video that I really wanted to touch on to make sure we at least got eyes on all of the ships. Like, actually, that's not even true. Hold on, we got to touch on this. We got to touch on the Paladin as well. I'm sorry, we got more than that to just hold on. Let's look at the Apollo. Yeah, let's let them talk a little bit about what makes the Apollo special here.
RSI Apollo is a new medical ship. It's from RSI, which didn't get a new ship in a long while. We have 2 medical ships at the moment announced in the game, which is the Cutlass Red, which is basically the ambulance in our game, and the Endeavor with its hospital module, which is really massive and really endgame. So we needed something in between.
We had quite a short timeline on this one for a medium ship. So really early on, I did a quick sketch of the interior, passed it to concept artist and was like, something like this, and it kind of stuck basically. And it works well with RSI styling. The ship still has its flow, you know, it's still quite sleek and sexy, but you know, it's got all that angularness to it. It's like a Lamborghini, turn it into a spaceship.
The RSI Apollo is basically like a small clinic that you can go to the edge of space. This has a capacity of 6 patients with 6 beds, a crew of 2 at the front with 2 ejection beds. And it has a size 2 turret on the top of the ship at the rear, which is more a point defense turret rather than something made for dogfights or anything. And this is a remote turret. It has also 28 SCU of cargo at the back.
And then you've got medical bay space.
For all those extra body parts.
It's always that sort of fine line between sort of
seriously, this could be like a kidney smuggling mobile.
And gameplay, so it's okay, we need to basically spawn a player here, but we don't want him popping in. So the player will be delivered, there's a glass cover on top, sort of protecting the player. The thought process is that we'll have essentially like an opaque glass when there's nobody in it, and then you'll hear noises and probably lights will come on and the bed will activate, and then a person will arrive. The glass turns transparent, and you're like, okay, that, you know, the bed's occupied. At least that's how we've developed it at the moment. It's kind of like a self-healing unit. So
yeah, I think we can't even depend on knowing what this would be, but you can see that like there's drones here. It depends on drone gameplay. There's more to the Apollo than just respawning. So there's no knowing really where it's gonna be or when it might come out, but we've got it on the list because they have been mentioning it here and there, and it sounds like there's some more info on it out there that we'll probably touch on later this week. So last touch on the Apollo was, as of right now at least, December of 2024. Or at least technically now, since that information does exist. And then that's right. Where did they introduce the Paladin? Didn't they introduce it during IAE? Let's see, concept ship. When was this? November 30th. Yeah, so it must have been during IAE. This one? No.
Currently do. And what's the vision?
It's the 22nd. Episode 3?
Just because we don't like fast combat. It's because we want to give players.
No. Episode 4? Dude, did they even do a feature on the video? Or did they just release like the brochure or something? All right. This might be all we have to look at with the Paladin, but it does provide at least somewhat of a look. You can tell it's an anvil design from the silhouette. It's still got that circle motif on the top, but very clearly a gunship. Big old turrets included. This is a good like 3 to 4 person ship for running combat contracts. I honestly might say take this over the Starlancer TAC if you're not worried about taking too much like a vehicle or extra cargo or anything. Because this thing's going to be great for getting in, getting out, and getting some loot really quick. And I freaking love the design. Holy crap, I love the design. This and the Legionnaire both have such like distinctly nice dropship-like designs. Love it more than the Asgard too. But we don't know where it is. So that's all we can really see of it. And I think with that, that's everything. I think we covered all the ships. Might be missing something, but we'll be getting to this every month. We'll come back to this after the monthly report and do a little update, or maybe even if they do like a video of the ship. But this is our current ongoing what ships are being worked on now video. And hope you got some info from this. See you in the next one. Why does Apollo need 6? 6? 6? 6 beds? You don't have to have 6 beds. You can just have 2, I think. I mean, technically the Asgard expands the gameplay in Star Citizen more than the Paladin would right now, but I'd prefer the Paladin. We don't really have very many good small vehicle transport ships, and it's kind of sucks to have to whip out a C2, or it's like something you could do, maybe a Corsair. I don't know if there will be anything for Alien Week. I don't think they've done anything for Alien Week in quite a while. Been pretty anti-alien, pretty xeno-threat lately about that. Alright folks, I'm gonna be right back, and then we're gonna talk about this ship variants in the game. Give me 1 minute. Listen to some nice saxophone. This is good, it's jazzy, it's beautiful. Alrighty. How'd the chair do? What did you just say? He said Toes Gang likes him more. The chair makes some really good points. Don't encourage it. Don't even give it any attention. You're here for one job, all right? Well, 2 jobs once we get the mounts. It's okay. We have a good relationship. Don't let everybody touch my butt, you know? All right. So I wanted to talk about a fun little topic in Star Citizen. Ship variants. Actually, let me catch up with chat first. Did I miss any conversation? Any last comments about those ships before we move on to our next segment of Monday mornings with the tomatoes? The new Atlas in the last ISC timestamp, 8:31.
Yes.
New Atlas. Ah. Atlas Ikti. Yeah, but we don't really know what that means. Ikti could be a Banu word that means get or something. Unless somebody does know Banu here. Anybody here know Banu? If you were having extremely high respawn rates, it might be useful, but you would also want to avoid respawn rates like that. Talking about the Apollo? Yeah, dude, they've got a lot of work to do on medical to make it make sense. Their chair said something be called the Meteor and that it punches above its weight class. The chair is a filthy liar. Yeah, no, I don't know. It could be a new Atlas. Didn't Jared say all the ships coming in Invictus are in this episode? Which leads people even more so to think that it must be the Idris. Which I can't imagine he doesn't think people are going to think. Very easy to look at this and be like, okay, so that's releasing at Idris. Or at Invictus. At Idris. Because I didn't see any other ships around here. Oh, there's the other shot of the Guardian I was looking for. Doesn't it look freaking beautiful? Oh, man. I love these. I love the shape of these compared to the original Guardian. All right. Let's talk about variants. Variants. This is a topic that it comes up all the time. I'm not really, we're not breaking new ground. This is more so for people who don't already have some level of understanding of how the variants work in Star Citizen. It's not going to tell you everything you need to know. This is just what I know and what I've seen. And what chat's seen. Y'all are going to help, right, chat? Come on. You guys are pretty good at that. But there was a thread on Reddit where somebody was talking about this, and this comes up because of the release upcoming of the Asgard, shown in ISC, to be pretty similar looking to the Valkyrie. I mean, I did literally look at it and be like, hey, it's a Valkyrie with a couple of changes. And like from the exterior, yes, that is the case, but we'll take a little bit of a deeper look at this through some of the things people have posted to see that like this ship is built a little different from a Valkyrie, and it's not necessarily always the right choice to create a direct variant or a modular ship. Does that mean they should have made a completely different ship to do this? I would have loved to seen the Liberator. That would have been real nice. Making something that was already known would have been great, but they've done this. So here's the post. CIG, if you made a ship years ago that is now underperforming in its role, is not fit for the current scope or scale of the game, or lacks relevancy in the gameplay you envision now, update it. Make wholesale changes to the hull, rip out the weapons and components for better or different results. But don't, I repeat, don't keep releasing new ships at a fresh cost to the player. I'm talking about the Valkyrie Asgard leaks and also the Hornet Mark IIs. Alright, I gotta say first, You don't have to buy ships, folks. Don't buy the ships. That's my number one advice. It's a lot better. Just life is so much better for you if you don't buy the ships. Now, of course, that also means that the game doesn't get funded as much. But like, if you come at it from the perspective of you're not going to buy ships, then when something really impresses you, maybe you are encouraged to spend money. Maybe that helps CIG just like do things that you want anyways. Either way though, I also hear what he's saying in terms of some of the other ships in the game. Like, I don't think it's really a Valkyrie thing, but I do think there are definitely situations like the Valkyrie coming in. No, it wasn't the Valkyrie coming in. What ship was it that came in and kind of invalidated the Redeemer? Was it the Valkyrie? Because the Redeemer was kind of going to be a dropship, then it came into the game and it wasn't a dropship because it ended up being a gunship because they designed it to be a little bit differently, so they added the Valkyrie to the game instead of just fixing the Redeemer. Was it the Paladin? Well, they're bringing the Paladin now to relieve the Redeemer of the role it was going to have, but originally it was supposed to have even a different role than it currently has, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, it's a confusing story, but I agree with him that they should like not fix vehicles, or they should fix vehicles rather than creating a new vehicle to handle the job that the original vehicle was supposed to do anyways. But the Valkyrie is definitely a dropship, and the Asgard is very much a vehicle transport. I think is the biggest thing that they're trying to do, and it's an easy way to do it. It's no doubt this is a more affordable way to create a vehicle transport that's going to make them good money than it would be to create an entirely new model or a whole new chassis. And that's, I think, an interesting conversation, is if they're going to make a vehicle transport and they want it to come from Anvil, should they create an entirely new model, or should they use an existing one and then change it up a little bit to be a sort of offshoot of the other one? As long as it's not something that's literally the same chassis, just sold for something different. Because this is not something that they're doing for the first time here. You can scroll back through their own YouTube releases. It's easier with the videos. Actually, don't have to do that. We can just go to the ship commercials, and you will find the Saber Peregrine. This is just a variant of the Saber Firebird, which is a variant of the Saber Raven, which is a variant of the Saber. But all of them do have like different bodies and different styles and designs, so you can't just throw a paint on one and call it a variant. It's not like the Mustang variants. But there's also other ships like this. The Fortune is like that as well. It's the Prospector model, changed slightly to be able to do something different, coming from the same company. And the Terrapin Medical came in and it looks a lot like the Terrapin. That one is probably the closest, I would say, direct one-to-one sort of variant vehicle. And honestly, the most annoying part of that is that they didn't update the old Terrapin when they brought that one in. I think it's okay if you do that, but yeah, if you're dropping these in and you're not updating the old model, then there's going to be a problem, and they need to stop doing that. So the Valkyrie did get some updates recently, right? It just got its cargo capacity boosted. And I think it got some additional weapons to the pilot, so it's not like they aren't updating this, as he said. It's just that they are bringing in another ship that looks very similar to this one. But I think there are some pictures. Whoops. Nope, I wasn't done with that. I think there are some pictures around the subreddit of the interior of the ship. Now, these are potentially leaks, so if you don't want to see them, don't look. This is just, I don't know if this is from the PTU or what. They were somewhere. There we go. This might just be a render that somebody made based off of what we saw, but you can see that it's basically the same silhouette, besides like the thruster placement changes. You know, it's not too much of a different ship. Definitely could call it a variant. just the wing positions mostly, but the Asgard is a little bit longer, it looks like. Now you can fit much larger vehicles into the Asgard, and you simply can't do that on the Valkyrie. You can't do this on a lot of ships, and I do think this does make the ship a little bit more what's the word? Valuable, because it's a unique cost. There's nothing else in the game right now that's this small that can carry a lot of or really big vehicles like these. So I do think that there's something to be said about this being a unique model. There is also the fact that the Valkyrie is a dedicated dropship with those drop seats, which right now don't matter. And as he said, he's talking about the game right now. But as we go further and further into the game, the difference between a vehicle bay and drop seats will be more different because drop seats will matter. So I get this conversation, what he's saying about this, especially with some ships. But I think it's more about like just update the old ships rather than don't release these new ones, because the new ones still need to be unique. And as long as they're unique, they're good. But if they're not, then you're starting to run into the useless reason to release ships. And you know what that sounds like? The Rock DS. A little bit. Sounds a little like that. He said, as a 10-year backer, the stuff I bought all those years ago is at risk of being outdated. I don't have the money or the time to buy all my old ships again, but different to remain relevant to the current game. The state of things as they were then was so much different, and you are choosing here to milk money out of me to get something that the existing ship should be able to do. No, that I don't agree with that. The scale has changed, and a Storm should be able to fit in a Valkyrie, and the internal space is wasted, but I digress. But instead of just making it slightly bigger or doing a gold pass, you release an entirely new ship to fit the already niche fulfilled by the Valkyrie. Why money? Let's see. I don't know if the Valkyrie was ever sold as being a vehicle transport. Heavy dropship designed to safely deploy up to 20 armed troops, along with a single vehicle into a combat zone armed with multiple turrets. It's a single vehicle part, yeah. I mean, if you can't fit larger vehicles in it, that's one thing, but I don't think it doesn't really make sense to change ships to fit another role. I don't know. Like, it's a dropship for people mainly, and you can still fit vehicles in it. Like, you could fit a Cyclone in here, yeah? Cyclone and Ursa? Yeah, I mean, if it's still giving these possibilities. I don't think this is bigger doors, dude. I think the ship itself is larger. But they haven't released their video on it. They've got the opportunity to release it inside the ships, and they'll tell us how it's different. We are only seeing what we saw in ISC. Oh crap! Nope, don't close that. But I don't know. I don't think that's a reasonable reason to. Like, you can't just say, hey, the Valkyrie needs to be made bigger to fit more things. Maybe ask for more small ships or more small vehicles to fit inside of the ship that he already has. But having your vehicle changed to fit, man, I don't know. What do you think? Comment in the comments down below. I will, out of due diligence, I will give him the rest of his post to talk. I worry about the precedent this sets. Are the devs happy with making old assets outdated? We saw this with the Hornet. They could have done a refresh of the design and gave players the old model as maybe a separate hangar item or ship. Instead, they used it as a money-making campaign and validating those player purchases, and they are doing it again with the Asgard. That is definitively wrong, but I'll show you why in a minute. I wish they would just give me an update with the Gold Pass and not charge me another $300 for the same gameplay loop in an identical hull. Yeah, you lose your argument with statements like that. It's not the same gameplay. I mean, I don't even think the Asgard has seats in it besides the pilot seat and maybe a couple service seats. It's going to be definitely, these are going to be different ships for different things. The Valkyries of my life. I love the hybrid dropship gunship roll, and I know there are many of us. Please show your old work the love of the current era of the game and don't consign it and us to obscurity just to make money. It's lazy and it's getting old. I actually think the Valkyrie is going to be a more valuable ship than the Asgard if the Asgard doesn't come with extra seats on it. But we'll have to see. Now, he keeps mentioning the Mark II and the Hornet and this whole thing about how they're doing the same thing with it. They're not. We've gone over this before, but we'll include it here just because it makes sense for this conversation. The Hornet Mark II is a design that was actually completed like 8 years ago. It was always meant to be a part of this game because in Squadron 42, the Hornet Mark I is outdated and replaced by the Mark II. It's like part of the lore. The Mark II was made for the military. It was withheld from the PU as the Mark II so it could come in and be its own separate model of ships. It's not necessarily the fact that it happened that is bad. It's the way they did it that isn't really great. I agree. They probably should have given the people who had a Mark I at least a heavily discounted upgrade, if not a free one. But it's certainly not the same as the Asgard. It's not the same as any of these other ships. People keep talking about a Constellation Mark II and all this stuff. I'm not saying those things won't happen, but none of those are happening because of the same reason the Hornet did or the Zeus, which are the only Mark II ships in the game right now. So as far as we know, Mark II ships are not planned for these other models. This is just a variant of a ship that looks a lot like a ship, but has a slightly different role. Here is the actual audio and video from CIG talking about this very thing with their Hornet.
Hey guys, not too long ago I received the awesome task of creating the new Hornet F7A ship, which will be featured in Squadron 42. I recently got done with the modeling and texturing portion of the ship build, and I would like to show you guys the process on how we created the all-new Hornet F7A. The original Hornet F7A MK1 was created by CGBot and it was used in the first pitch video by Chris Roberts. The F7A is going to be featured in Squadron 42, so naturally we were looking to do a complete update for the Hornet, since the mesh being used in the game as of now is still essentially the old CGBot model from 4 years ago. The idea here was to keep the original Hornet F7 MK1 series in the game, and then add the F7A MK2 model completely new from the ground up with our latest techniques and pipeline procedures.
So this was like, yeah, it's weird, but it's a different scenario. And again, there's no reason to say that Mark IIs won't happen for other ships, but none of them are happening in the same way that this model is with the Hornets. And that's how the cookie crumbles. Valkyrie's still missing its gold pass. They might show it at ILW. We don't know. Well, that's like the same thing with the Terrapin. They released the Terrapin Medical, but they don't update the old Terrapin. That is where they're going wrong. And that's a problem. And the more they do that, I think the more dissatisfaction is going to stack up. Like, as far as what he's saying with his own ship not getting updated, I agree there. Old ships should get updated. I'm glad the Valkyrie just got an update with its cargo stuff, but there are plenty of, like, it could use buttons to open the doors. It could use light control. It could use an engineering terminal. There's several things that that ship could use. But it's not it's not the Hornet. It will delight you to know that in the Beijing talk, John will talk about what entitles a Mark II. Interesting. So he said they are planned, but they won't be like what happens with the Hornet. Well, I'd be interested in seeing how they do it. Either way, as long as they keep them maintained, working in the game, and they're actually a different ship, then go for it. But like, the whole point of that is you need to be able to make enough money to maintain those. So Regular Terrapin got updated with the medical though. It got component pass and a lighting pass. Did it? I thought my components weren't. Okay, I guess I'm wrong. Scratch what I said if that's the case. If the Terrapin did get an update, I didn't. I feel like that I came across a couple things in the Terrapin that I would have expected to be better. Maybe I'm wrong though. It got storage boxes too. The Terrapin did? Okay, well that's good. Scratch that one off the list, folks. If the Terrapin got an update, that's fantastic. Was it the Prospector I'm thinking of? Did the Prospector get an update with the Fortune? Maybe that's what I'm mixing up my updates. By the way, I will be talking about the Mark II, or not the Mark II stuff, the Beijing Star Citizen, Bar Citizen, that will be happening later this week after it comes out. Probably Friday we'll do it on the stream. I also will be having a podcast episode with the Astropub where we discuss the information in that show. Once again, if you are a subscriber on Twitch, a member on YouTube, over on Patreon, best place to support us is Patreon. We appreciate you guys all over there. Love chatting with you. Any of those places, if you are part of it, you can join the podcast live, where I'll be talking with Paul this week, Execute next week, and then Aldi 43 the week after that. Every week you can join us live asking questions, hanging out in the chat, or just watching the podcast after it happens on the channel. But yeah, that's when I'll be talking about that Bar Citizen. For now, it was all ship stuff. And I hope you guys got your ship information today, with this last one being about variants and stuff. I think the last bit I have here is a little discussion about how variants work. Oh, it was the Constellation. I wanted to let people get an update on how the Constellation is doing, because I know a lot of folks are curious about what that might be. Also, thank you so much for the bits, my friend Maverick and Taryn, with the pizza biddies. Haven't filled the pizza coffers in a while. Enjoy a slice for me. Thank you, Taryn. I appreciate you, dude. And Gozlaw gifting out a membership to somebody. DJ Durante. Congrats.
Last ship update. Constellation. Constellation is getting a little old in the tooth compared to a lot of the other ships.
No, this is 2022.
It's one of Star Citizen's signature ships. Any joy? Anything you can tell us?
What I'm hearing is people love struts, and they want more struts in the cockpit to obscure view. Yep, like gold standard on all the other ships. When we get to the Constellation, a big thing for it will be putting the components in. That people will see there are component bays in there already. They were done a long time ago. Components have changed in how they are used, the quantities, even some of the sizes of them, which shows you how old it is. I think somewhere it says it's got 2 quantum drives if you go look at all the hatches in there. So we'll be going through and ripping all those out, putting proper ones in, which will necessitate other interior changes. So we'll collect everything up in one big pass and do a big pass across the interior. Not going to say it's going to look wildly different. It's got a very key art style that we want to keep. We do want to do something about the struts on the bridge. We had planned to do that with the Taurus, but instead what we've done is we spent the extra time we had available to us on the pilot seat, which is why you see it has all the buttons and flip up Apollo displays now, which benefits all of them. We'd hoped we could reduce some of those struts in the forward view. At the same time, we just sadly didn't have time. And that would have only fixed 2 or 3 out of the variants. We wouldn't have time to do the Aquila as well. So when we get to gold standard, we'll sort them all out so they're all have a good view out the front. It's still gonna have struts, like the Carrack has struts, but we'll try and get rid of those particularly annoying ones that are through the center view.
Okay.
So when you hear people talk about a Constellation Mark II, just point them towards this video. They still got an update due for the Constellation, specifically on the interior, moving components around, getting rid of struts, doing all that stuff. They're gonna update the Constellation series, so sit tight. And also, as Shifty is pointing out in chat, really dumb of me to not think of this, but he's absolutely right. The Terrapin is literally a Terrapin. The Asgard and the Fortune are actually different ships. So if you're smarter than myself, you can very much tell when you're looking at the ship, if it's got the same name, then it's some sort of variant. If it's got a different name, then they mean for it to have at least enough different changes in features for it to act differently and be a different ship from the other ones. That includes the Peregrine, the Firebird, or even the Raven. So yeah, there's your look at Mark II's variants, ships, how they might change from one another, and hopefully that helps you make some sense of it. The current Connie is Mark IV already. How many updates has it had? What ship has had the most? Is it the Freelancer? The Freelancer had a huge update back in 2017, 2018. And then it got, I think, another one in another time period. Hey, Reese! Reese gifting out the subs. Well, the memberships, actually. My man. Popping up on Toes Gang. Thank you, dude. We had to get at least somebody else out there. I appreciate that, Reese. Thank you, my dude. Hey, give a thanks to Reese if he just gifted you a membership. That just gave you access to all the exclusive videos on the YouTube channel. It gave you access to the live podcasts and the chat on Discord. And it passed the goal. Hey! That's a good Monday, dude. That's a good Monday! But also because we talked about ships a lot. We don't usually get to chill and gush over spaceships for a whole stream like this very often. You hate the overall looks of the constellations? Yeah, but what's the best looking ship in the game? What's the best looking ship in Star Citizen? Oh, Tarky out here. Becoming a carrot on YouTube. Thank you as well for becoming a member. You also have access to all the good stuff. The podcast is done in the Discord channel or in the Discord server. Just make sure you have whatever service it is that you support us on connected to your Discord. And make sure to pick the podcast listener role just to know it's happening. But usually if you keep an eye on the supporter alerts channel on our Discord, that's where we put all the exclusive videos. That's where we put that's where I announce the podcasts that are going to be live. Keep an eye on that channel and you will have no problem. Except for the fact that I'm sometimes kind of late. I'm sorry about that. Toes. Yeah, I'm trying to start fights in the chat. The C1, I like your guys' answers. There's no right answer. I'm looking for your answer, not mine. I love the C1. It's the MSR concept on the walls of the A18. I love the OG MSR concept. It looks great. You love the nugget from when the Perseus came out that original Freelancer took more processing to animate than the entire Polaris. Yeah, that was funny. Just because of the rivets, the bolts. You like the Reliant series? I can't wait to see the Reliant updated. You love the Retaliator. Oh, I don't think I've ever heard somebody say Retaliator. Is there a super membership where I get to access your refrigerator? Absolutely not. Our refrigerator is sacred. There's good food in there, man. No membership on the world will grant access to that. That's not true. All you got to do is visit. Mrs. Tomato is absolutely incredible host. I'm a good Sue host. No, we actually really enjoy hosting people, so our refrigerator is open to all friends. The Intrepid? Intrepid's great. The Intrepid got so much hate when it came out for how it looks. It was a little awkward, not gonna lie. Making that gun bigger helped. You like the Redeemer, the Vanguards, the Mantis, okay. A good spread. The fact that it's not all one single ship everyone is picking is a good sign. The Gladiator or the Hawk. Gladiator is another one that I don't see chosen very much. You do think doing all these Mark II updates should be done with the upgrade token? Think it's a real good idea. You have the submarine feel of the Hawk? Oh, the Tally. I like the Intrepid. All right, y'all. I'm going to wrap for today. That was a lot of ship talk and stuff we went over. Should have something for you out tomorrow, talking about core gameplay from the monthly report. And over the course of this week, well, I mean, all the things we talked about today will be coming out. You guys aren't interested in that. Nothing else too much that'll be coming out this week. It's going to be a busy week for us. We're starting to get ready to head back to Turkey in about a month. So we will be somewhat limited in main channel videos probably. But we'll still be around. And we've got our streamathon planned for next Friday. So we'll see you all there if you're interested in joining us. Streamathon's pretty fun. And this one, we should have more tortures on this one than the last one. The last one was more about the length. This one's going to be capped at a certain length, and we'll just probably, I don't know, I'll get like shot and stuff, whatever. Yeah, Turkey Kitchen hype, dude. Also, the freaking sunsets that we get to see over there. I can't wait. Cannot wait. All right, folks. Hope you had a good time. Hope you learned something. Or at least got some entertainment. You're great people. You do great things. I hope you treat yourself well the rest of the day. Go like give yourselves a good day. Eat something yummy. Give somebody a hug. Give yourself a hug. And yeah, have a good one. I'll see you all on Wednesday or around if we are. Until next time, bye-bye. Just want to say, D3 Ship, thank you for the sub, by the way, at the end there. Appreciate you.